Chapter 875. Wedding Celebration. Half a year passed very quickly. During this half a year, Wang Xian and the rest traveled to every corner of the earth, eating, drinking, and having fun. At the same time, Sun Lingxia was also carrying out her business. Every time she arrived in a city, she would remove the pain of all the patients in the city. During the entire half a year, news about the Dragon King and the Dragon Queen were everywhere. When everyone mentioned the Dragon King and the Dragon Queen, they showed respect from the bottom of their hearts. Brothers, sisters-in-law, you are finally back. The day of Xiao Yu's wedding was approaching. Wang Xian, Guan Shuqing, and Lan Qingyue returned to the Dragon Palace. As soon as they entered, Xiao Yu's voice sounded. She flew over immediately and shouted at them with a smile on her face. Yes, I'm back. Let's start the wedding for you. Wang Xian patted Xiao Yu's head with a smile on his face. Call Feng Lingtian and his father over. We can discuss this. All right, brother. I'll go and inform them. Xiao Yu said with a smile on her face. It's a big matter. The younger sister of the Dragon King, the eldest princess of the Dragon Palace, is getting married to Feng Lingtian from the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect in 5 days. The wedding will be held on the sea. The wedding of the Dragon King's sister, the only relative of the Dragon King, will be the grandest wedding on earth. The whole world will be celebrating. This wedding will probably be attended by all the immortals and gods in the world. It will be a real feast. The Yellow Heaven Immortal sect will truly become a royal relative this time. I really envy that Feng Lingtian. I heard that Feng Lingtian offended the eldest princess in the past and was beaten up by her. Saya Gigolo, the biggest gigolo in history. That's right. Even if this Feng Lingtian is a middle-level immortal, he's still a gigolo. I'm envious. Why am I not a gigolo? The entire world has the qualifications to go. I reckon they must all rush over to congratulate him. On the internet, the news about the wedding of the Dragon King's sister spread, causing a sensation all over the world. The wedding of the Dragon King's only relative was probably the most sensational event of the year. Every word and action of the Dragon King had a huge impact, not to mention his sister's marriage. As the good day approached, the whole world was filled with jubilation. One by one, the immortals of the immortal sects, along with their outstanding disciples, followed the people of the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect and flew toward the sea. The gods of the Western Divine Realm flew toward the Dragon Palace together. All the experts of the world were heading toward one place. At this moment, above the Dragon Palace, a huge floating island was floating on the sea. Around the floating island, there were all kinds of aquatic creatures. These aquatic creatures were jumping around, making the entire sea look extremely beautiful. Fish of all colors were formed into pictures and words, making it look breathtaking. Around the floating island, yakshas were standing around to maintain order, just in case. Each yaksha had the strength of a superior immortal. 9 dragons were circling in the sky, and each of them was already 30 meters long. Their strength had already broken through to the extraordinary realm, and they had completed the first change of the divine dragon. They were already beginning to possess the might of a dragon. Prime Minister Gue stood in the middle of the island, commanding a group of golden swordfish clansmen to set up the surroundings. Some demon monkeys were jumping up and down, placing things one by one. All of them had excited smiles on their faces, just like the flower and fruit mountains on television. We're here, everyone. The Dragon Palace is right in front of us. Ling Xiao led a group of immortal gods and disciples from the Eastern Immortal sects and flew over, pointing at the floating island in front of them. Hiss, so many creatures. Look at the 9 dragons circling in the sky. They're simply too powerful. The ocean takes up 70% of the Earth's surface area. After the spiritual essence recovers, the powerful creatures in the ocean will also become stronger. Obviously, the Dragon King has a special method to make some creatures have intelligence. The group of immortal gods from the immortal sects looked down with shock in their eyes. Everyone, this way please. At this moment, a golden swordfish instantly appeared in front of them and said to the group of more than 1,000 people, Good. The group of people hurriedly nodded and looked at each other with a trace of shock in their eyes. A high-level immortal. This swordsman who had welcomed them was a powerful high-level immortal. They didn't fully understand the Dragon Palace's forces. Even when they were at the time of the god-destroying king and the Yuan clan, the Dragon Palace hadn't used all of its forces. Moreover, half a year had passed, and the Dragon Palace's strength had undergone another huge change. The number of immortals had reached more than 400, and there were now 20 to 30 high-level immortals in the Dragon Palace. Everyone, please wait here for a while. The Dragon King will be here soon. Prime Minister Gue walked over and greeted everyone with a smile. Then he ordered Feng Lingtian and the others to prepare. Okay. We'll just take a look here. The immortals nodded nervously and looked around. They could see immortal-level creatures everywhere, and there were even many existences that they felt were unfathomable. Look over there, it's the 10 ancient gods. At this moment, an immortal god suddenly looked over with a face full of shock. When he saw the invincible 10 people setting up things, his eyes were filled with shock. Even the 10 ancient gods, who were so strong that they almost unified Earth, had to respectfully set up things here now. This place is so beautiful. It's even more beautiful than the wedding scene when the Yuan clan and the Scandinavian god realm were united by marriage. Although the wedding back then was shocking, it can't be compared to Sister Dragon King's wedding. Look at the densely packed aquatic creatures around you. It's as though they possess intelligence. This scene is too shocking. The ocean was originally magnificent. Now, there were all kinds of aquatic creatures around them. The dancing dolphins, colorful fish, and beautiful sea dragons and seahorses were all magnificent. The wedding was a modern wedding. There were not many rules. Ling Tian entered a room and was preparing. They had already discussed the entire process. Wang Xian came out from the underwater dragon palace and greeted everyone. At noon the wedding began. All the guests sat at the table. A red carpet extended to the edge of the room. A leader of the Western God realm came to act as the MC because he looked kind and kind. Welcome, bride. When the old man's voice sounded, a huge crack appeared in the ocean beside the floating island. Sitting on the island, one could see a towering city below, and a magnificent underwater dragon palace. Feng Lingtian stood at the edge of the floating island and looked down. Wang Xian held Xiao Yu's hand and slowly walked up from the dragon palace. Chapter 876. The wedding off was celebrated. What is this? What? There's actually a huge and majestic dragon palace at the bottom of the sea that is thousands of meters deep. Oh my god, this is too shocking. The dragon palace below is so majestic and magnificent. It's too beautiful. The bride is simply a princess who walked out from the bottom of the sea. Everyone looked at Wang Xian as he held Xiao Yu's hand and walked out from the dragon palace that was thousands of meters deep. All of them had shocked expressions on their faces. They were shocked by the majestic and magnificent dragon palace at the bottom of the sea. They walked out from the deep sea all the way to the surroundings of the floating island. Wang Xian looked at Feng Lingtian, who was waiting by the side of the island, and slowly handed Xiao Yu's hand to him. His eldest brother was like a father. At this moment, Wang Xian felt like he was marrying his daughter. Dragon King, I will treat Xiao Yu well for the rest of my life, Feng Lingtian said with a serious expression. Wang Xian patted his shoulder and smiled. He nodded his head faintly and said, okay. He didn't say too much, but Wang Xian was thinking that if he didn't treat Xiao Yu well, he would kill him in the future. Of course, he couldn't say such words on this occasion. Moreover, based on Xiao Yu's character, Feng Lingtian was at the level of a little puppy. He wouldn't be able to stir up any waves. Let's go on stage. Wang Xian smiled at them and said, okay. Xiao Yu looked at her brother. Her eyes were filled with happiness, disappointment, and happiness. The two of them walked forward. At this moment, the surroundings were filled with music. Around the floating island, hundreds of dolphins leaped into the air. A melodious sound came from them. When the sound covered the entire island, everyone actually felt happy, and a sense of joy surged from their hearts. This made the immortals slightly shocked, and their faces revealed a shocked expression. They could not help but clap. Marriage. I grew up with my brother. living in a small town and living a poor life. In high school, it was my brother who worked and supported me. It was my brother who protected me time and time again. My elder brother is like a father. In my heart, my brother is my elder brother and also my father. I'm very glad that I have a brother who loves me so much. Without my brother, I wouldn't be where I am now. The wedding ended with Xiao Yu's speech. After lunch, they had to send Xiao Yu off. Xiao Yu was finally married. The wedding was held next to the Dragon Palace, but she still had to return to her new home. Brother. Sitting on a bridal sedan chair, Xiao Yu wiped her tears and waved at Wang Xian. You'll be a big girl in the future. Don't cry anymore. Wang Xian waved his hand and said with a smile, I'll bring Ling Tian over in 2 days and stay in the Dragon Palace for a period of time. Xiao Yu waved her hand and said, All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. Let's go. Ling Xiao said to the people from the Yellow Heaven Immortals sect beside him. The group immediately flew into the sky. Eldest princess, let's go. 9 dragons flew down from the sky and rode on the sedan. They flew into the sky and flew towards the Yellow Heaven Immortals sect. Little sister Xiao Yu is married off. It can be considered as settling one of your worries. Guan Shuqing and the other girls came to Wang Xian's side and said to him with a smile, That's right. My younger sister is married. This is considered a major event. I plan to head to the Transcendence continent in half a month. Wang Xian looked at the girls and said to them, Yes, you can go. But you have to come back as soon as possible. We are waiting for you at the Dragon Palace. Lan Qingyue and the rest nodded their heads. Don't worry. I will be able to gain a firm foothold in the Transcendence continent soon. When the time comes, I will bring all of you there. It will be tough on all of you during this period of time. Wang Xian nodded his head heavily. After you leave, we will also have to cultivate well. There is no sun or moon in our cultivation. One retreat might last for a few months, so it's not a big deal. As Guan Shuqing spoke, she suddenly thought of something. Oh right, see if you can find Sister Feng Luan. If there's a chance in the future, we will look for her. Yes, all right. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked to the east. His sister's figure had already disappeared. This caused a faint smile to appear on his face. At the same time, around the world, the members of the Dragon Palace, with the cooperation of the immortals and deities from various places, began to provide relief to the poor. Food, drinks, accommodation. Resettlement work. Resettlement accommodation. With the assistance of the local immortals and deities, everything went smoothly. This made all the poor people in the world extremely grateful. Many people even built the Dragon King temple. They built the Dragon King statue and worshipped it. They treated it as a living god, a true god, and the faith in their hearts. It was not the so-called immortals and deities. Guan Shuqing and the rest read the information one by one and showed it to Wang Xian. He smiled slightly. He used to be dependent on Xiao Yu. He knew the hardships. Now that he could help others, he had to help them more. Now he had the ability. At this moment, at the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect, 9 giant flood dragons led the bride. Everyone in the festive Yellow Heaven city was shocked. This powerful creature is even more powerful than the strongest of the major immortal sects. This is the flood dragon that pulled the dragon chair for the Dragon King. It's too powerful. Our crown prince is really lucky to be able to marry the Dragon King's sister. Everyone calls our crown prince a gigolo. Whoever marries the Dragon King's sister will be a gigolo. It's said that all the immortals and gods of the world will be present at this wedding. That's right. There are 500 to 600 immortals present, but it's said that there are at least 400 to 500 immortals and gods in the Dragon Palace today. Moreover, the powerhouse who founded the Sacred Glory Empire was packing up in the Dragon Palace. With the Dragon King's strength, he can rule the earth in a minute. When the crowd saw the arrival of the bride, the entire Yellow Heaven city burst into cheers. It was the fortune of everyone in the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect that their crown prince could marry the Dragon King's sister. All the major media outlets in the world and all the big screens in the city were full of blessings for the wedding of the Dragon King's sister. Those who received help even began to pray, blessing the Dragon King and his relatives. A wedding was a celebration for all. Time passed slowly. Xiaoyu, who had stayed in the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect for a few days, brought Feng Lingtian back to the Dragon Palace and stayed there. More than 10 days later, Wang Xian moved the Dragon Palace to the passageway of the Transcendence Continent and sealed the entrance with the Dragon Palace. Standing beside the entrance, Wang Xian looked at Xiaoyu, Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue, and the rest. A smile appeared on his face. I'm going over now. Wait for my good news. Xiao Xian, be careful. We'll wait for you here. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. You all know that. Wang Xian pointed at the position of the ancestral tree of the Dragon King Palace and said with a smile, Okay. The group of girls nodded. The main reason why they could let Wang Xian go to the other world without worry was that he could be revived through the ancestral tree. Wang Xian turned his head slowly and looked at the passageway ahead. The black passageway led to the other world. He walked over slowly. Transcendent Continent. I'm here. Chapter 877. A Brand New World. The black passageway was like a black hole. The moment Wang Xian stepped into it, he immediately felt that he had entered an endless darkness. The entire world and space were not the kind of place where one could break through the void and enter another world after reaching a certain level of cultivation. Instead, they existed in the form of the universe. The extraordinary continent might be very, very far away from Earth, or it might be located in a corner of the universe. However, some experts could use special methods to establish a teleportation array between the planets, and they could directly enter another world. The wormhole of the insect race, the array formation of the human race, the divine patterns of the celestial race, the dragon lair of the dragon race, and so on and so forth. All of them could connect two planets. The passageway between the supernatural continent and Earth might have been formed due to a certain reason. When Wang Xian felt that there was light in front of him, he realized that he was in the depths of the sea. A strong attractive force came over, causing him to feel slightly uncomfortable. The gravitational force of the supernatural continent is more than 10 times that of Earth. It is extremely difficult for those below the supernatural realm to fly. The sea here is so deep. It is actually 50,000 to 60,000 meters deep. Wang Xian revealed a shocked expression as he looked around. The surroundings were filled with furry water plants. This passageway leading to Earth was very secretive. Furthermore, the passageway on Earth was sealed by the Dragon Palace. After entering this passageway, one could not launch an attack. Under such circumstances, only the members of the Dragon Palace could enter and exit freely. Therefore, in the future, even if this passage was discovered by others, it would still not be able to enter Earth. It would be directly blocked by the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. At this time, the voices of Gu Qingwen and the others came from behind. They were the 10 members of the Sacred Glory mercenary group. Dragon King. This is the Dongguan Sea area. The Dongguan Sea area is a chaotic area. This place is relatively barren. There are many giant squid living here. These sea creatures are extremely brutal. When they are hungry, they attack any creature. Gu Qingwen was the shady young man. At this moment, he looked around vigilantly and said, "Go to the Shanghai town that you mentioned." Wang Xian immediately said to them, "It's the Dragon King." Everyone nodded and swam upwards vigilantly. Oh no, there are 4 giant squid. At this moment, a cry of surprise came from the side. Wang Xian turned his head and looked over. Instantly, he saw a monster that was more than 20 meters in size but had 4 heads. 2 of its heads were covered with densely packed teeth, while the other 2 were sharp objects that looked extremely disgusting. The 4-headed giant squid had the strength of a transcendent level, 4 according to their levels. 4-headed giant squid, transcendent level 4. Extractable dragon crystal, 20. I can extract 20 dragon crystals. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. A hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Name Wang Xian. Race, 5 elements divine dragon, able to transform into a human. Level, extraordinary first level, first change of divine dragon. Dragon crystal, 70 out of 100. Supernatural ability, rule the water tribe. Rule the water tribe that is lower than your own level. Devour living things. Devour living things to extract dragon crystals. Control of the 5 elements. Cultivation method. Divine dragon transformation. Supernatural ability. Burning the river and boiling the sea. Gold splitting the void. Descending of the wood realm. Water crisis city. Wrath of the earth. Soul capture. Endless sight. Spirit possession. Currently, Wuxia was still short of 30 dragon crystals to reach Transcendent Level 2. If he were to devour this 4-headed giant squid, it wouldn't be long before he could break through to Transcendent Level 2. Dragon King, leave quickly. If you get entangled with this 4-headed giant squid, you will attract other sea creatures. In the chaotic sea area, creatures have no intelligence and are considered ferocious beasts. They are bloodthirsty. The 10 people who had become draconids immediately shouted, "Aoyao, can you kill it in an instant?" Wuxia felt a little indignant as he spoke to the person beside him. Apart from the 10 people from the Holy Glory mercenary group, the only one who came with him this time was Aoyao. Aoyao, who had evolved into a lightthorn, was only slightly weaker than Wuxia in terms of strength. In a battle, he was even much stronger than the 10 people from the Holy Glory mercenary group. No, it has 10 heads. I can destroy 2 of them in an instant at most. Aoyao shook his head. Let's go. Let's settle down first. Wuxia hesitated for a moment. His body moved and he flew quickly toward the sky. Due to the strong gravitational force, Wuxia's flying speed was about 10 times slower than before. However, in the ocean, his speed was still not something that ordinary creatures could match. As he rushed out of the water, another world appeared in front of his eyes. Chirp, chirp. A huge seabird was circling in the sky and making ear-piercing chirps. The wings of the seabird were about 5 meters wide. Dragon King, let's fly into the sky. Be careful of the birds around us. The powerful birds are enough to eat us. We have to fly 100 kilometers east. Gu Qingwen roared loudly and stared at his surroundings nervously. Wuxia scanned his surroundings. In the sea, he saw a 20 to 30 meter long black shadow flash past. In the sky, there were seabirds that were more than 10 meters in size flying. Some seabirds had a pair of blood-red eyes and looked extremely ferocious. Let's go. From their expressions, Wuxia knew that this was not a safe place. If he came to the extraordinary mainland by himself, he might become the food of these ferocious beasts. This world is really brutal. Luckily, I didn't bring Shu Qingqingyu and the rest here. Wuxia clicked his tongue slightly. With a move of his body, a cloud of mist appeared around them. The so-called cloud-riding mist was an application of the water attribute. Wuxia used the water attribute to create a cloud of mist that enveloped them and flew towards the east. Shanghai Town is a small town that belongs to the Blue Moon Kingdom's Donghai City. There are 10 empires, 50 small countries, and some duchies in the entire extraordinaire continent. Other than the dynasty, there is also a large family, sect, and academy that is independent of the dynasty. The Blue Moon Kingdom has a population of over 3 billion people. The Blue Moon royal family is the king of this territory. Along the way, Gu Qingwen kept introducing some basic information about the transcendental continent to Wuxia. After flying for 3 hours, they finally saw the coast, Shanghai Town. It was a town that was close to the sea. We actually flew for 3 hours for more than 100 kilometers. I feel like our strength is being restrained after entering the transcendental continent. Due to the gravitational force, their flying speed had decreased by more than 10 times. Flying is prohibited in the town. Moreover, one has to pay spirit stones to enter the town. Gu Qingwen said to Wuxia. Humans were not respected in the Transcendence continent. On the Transcendence continent, there were dragons and demonic beasts. Humans were not the masters of the entire continent. Just like the dragons, the masters of the ocean, the absolute overlords. Even humans had to fear them. There were also great demons in the other wilderness, and the demon beasts were no less intelligent than humans. Humans ate demon beasts, and demon beasts also ate humans. As long as it wasn't in the town or in the city, it wasn't safe. Chapter 878, Demon Hunting. On the Transcendent Continent, the so-called Transcendent referred not only to humans but also to other living beings. Demons and ghosts coexisted. Humans were only one part of it. It was very unsafe outside the city, and even dangerous. Therefore, the Transcendent Continent gave birth to a class, the Mercenary Group. The Mercenary Group could obtain huge rewards by killing demon beasts, escorting items, searching for pills, and so on. In the entire continent, mercenary groups had the largest number of people among all classes. Mercenary groups had detailed levels. A powerful mercenary group would be respected by everyone. Of course, if it was a weak mercenary group, it would be cannon fodder. Holy Sea Town was a town, but it was not small at all. Its population reached several million people. The huge city wall was at least 100 meters high, and it was filled with all kinds of marks. On the city wall stood soldiers armed with bows and weapons, each of them exuding extraordinary strength. In the entire Transcendent Continent, humans are not the only ones. Powerful demon beasts devour humans when they are hungry. Therefore, even a small town has a population of several million people. Only by uniting together can humans survive here. These city walls are meant to resist the sea beasts. Shanghai Town is near the sea. Sometimes there will be sea beasts attacking the city. There will be tens of thousands or even millions of sea beasts. There will even be sea beasts of the 8th or 9th level of the supernatural realm attacking the city. The marks on the city walls are left behind by the sea beasts. Gu Qingwen explained to him. Wang Xian nodded slowly. This was a world that ate humans. Humans ate demonic beasts and demonic beasts ate humans. Ao Yao, shrink down and stand on my shoulder. Wang Xian landed below the east gate of Shanghai Town and said to Ao Yao. It's the Dragon King. Ao Yao was also at level 1 of Transcendence. Although his concealment was powerful, he was still able to be discovered by people at level 8 or 9 of Transcendence or those who possessed ocular skills. With the hostility between the Transcendence Continent and demonic beasts, he might be killed directly. Ao Yao's body moved and turned into a size of 30 to 40 centimeters. He landed on Wang Xian's shoulder. Demonic beasts were very common pets in the supernatural continent. Although Ao Yao's form was not cute, it had a special power. Shrinking bones was a very common skill for a king of assassins. 10 low-grade spirit stones per person. Upon entering the town, the guard at the entrance spoke directly to Wang Xian and the rest. Naturally, their language was not Chinese. However, Wang Xian had long mastered the language of the Transcendence Continent. There were no traffic barriers. Spirit stones were divided into low-grade, middle-grade, high-grade, and top-grade. All the spirit stones on Earth were considered low-grade. 100 low-grade spirit stones were equivalent to 1 middle-grade spirit stone. Wang Xian had brought 5 million low-grade spiritual stones with him when he came to the Transcendence Continent. It was sufficient. After paying 110 low-grade spiritual stones, Wang Xian and the rest walked in. Due to the fact that the Holy Light mercenary group was too weak, they did not have a base. They only had a temporary residence. The temporary residence is the place that the leader rented in the past. The geographical location is pretty good. Dragon King. Let's go there first and plan our future development. Gu Qingwen led the way respectfully in front. Make way, make way. At this moment at the entrance, 4 to 5 people were carrying a huge demonic beast on their shoulders. The demonic beast was more than 10 meters in size. It was a snake-type demonic beast with a horn on top of its head. Even though it was dead, this demonic beast still emitted a strong murderous aura. It's the Horned Shark mercenary group. I didn't expect them to kill an extraordinary level 5 horned snake. It's really powerful. A draconid pulled Wang Xian and retreated to the side. He looked over and revealed a shocked expression. The Horned Shark mercenary group is a 1-star gold mercenary group. It has a great reputation in Shanghai Town. The leader is an extraordinary level 6 powerhouse. Gu Qingwen introduced the mercenary group to Wang Xian in a low voice. The mercenary group had detailed levels. From low to high they were bronze, silver, gold, diamond, epic, legendary, and mythical. Each level was divided into 1 to 5 stars, and the 5 stars were the highest. Wang Xian looked over and saw a badge with a golden sword and shield crossed on their chests. The word shark was written on it. On the badge, there was a star which represented 1 gold star. This was a symbol of strength. What is the strongest level in Shanghai town? Wang Xian asked Gu Qingwen. The strongest transcendent level 9. The mayor of Shanghai town. There are no big families in Shanghai town. The mayor is the strongest. Gu Qingwen said, only big cities have such terrifying powerhouses like the Dongshu. In the entire Blue Moon Kingdom, there are only about 20 Dongshu powerhouses. Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. The first change of the Divine Dragon corresponded to the Transcendence, and the second change of the Divine Dragon corresponded to the Dongshu. The Dogfish mercenary group obviously had a great reputation in Shanghai town. Upon seeing their arrival, everyone opened a path and looked at them respectfully. The corpse of a transcendent level 5 demonic beast is worth 50,000 mid-grade spiritual stones. It's very precious. Gu Qingwen said enviously. Wang Xian looked around quietly and didn't say anything. He silently memorized everything in his heart. There were many different shops compared to the 9 cauldrons world on Earth. Formations, elixirs, weapons, demon beast bones, cultivation techniques, and so on. Dragon King. The temporary base of our Holy Glory mercenary group is just around the corner at the end of the road ahead. A draconid pointed ahead and said. Wang Xian nodded his head. The ground was made of a green stone which was extremely hard. The surrounding buildings were also made of stone which was exceptionally sturdy. There were a few wooden houses which looked extraordinary. Sigh, I've been rejected. I don't even have the chance to see Miss Ao Shue's beautiful face. Miss Ao Shue is full of pride. Let's not think too much about it. The Demon Hunters Academy will be coming to our Holy Sea Town to recruit students tomorrow. I wonder if we can pass the assessment. If we can join Miss Ao Shue's team, we will definitely pass the assessment. At the intersection, 3 young men walked over and shook their heads as they walked. Demon Hunter College. Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he heard their conversation. He was deep in thought. This is it. At the intersection, a draconid pointed at a door and said. This was a house with an independent courtyard. It was the base of the Holy Light mercenary group. The door is locked from the inside? Has the landlord been here before? The draconid looked puzzled. I'll break it open directly. Gu Qingwen pulled out his long saber and slashed at the chains inside. Dragon King, please. After the chains were broken, the 10 draconids pushed the door open respectfully and said to Wang Xian. Who? I told you to scram. Now you dare to barge in directly. You're really courting death. A cold shout came from inside. Following that, a sharp longsword came straight at them. Wang Xian, who was in the middle, was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. Chapter 879. Ling Yun Ambition. The sudden attack of the longsword caused everyone's expression to change slightly. The longsword emitted a terrifying sharpness as it went straight for Wang Xian's glabella. Huh. Wang Xian's expression changed slightly as a cold glint flashed across his eyes. He released his vision and flames landed directly on the longsword. The longsword that was attacking him was instantly blocked by his vision. The terrifying flames were burning on the longsword. All of Wang Xian's supernatural powers were comparable to the supernatural powers of level 3. The descent of the tree realm coupled with the spirit enchantment could unleash the power of level 4 supernatural powers. The longsword in front of him was a weapon of level 2 supernatural powers. Under the endless attacks, the level 2 weapon began to slowly transform. What? How dare you destroy my weapon? You deserve to die. An angry voice was heard. Following that, a fiery red figure drifted over. The woman had short hair and looked valiant. Her eyes were filled with murderous intent as she stared at Wang Xian. Beside her, 2 servant girls followed behind her. They were also staring at Wang Xian coldly. Are you the one who deserves to die? This is clearly our place. Why are you guys here? Gu Qingwen stared at the woman coldly. He did not care about her appearance at all. Now that he had become a draconid, Anyone who dared to hurt the Dragon King deserved to die. You guys don't know who I am? The woman stared at them coldly and raised her head proudly. I don't care who you are. Get out of our base. Gu Qingwen stared at the woman with a gloomy face. How dare you? How dare you talk to our miss? Watch your words. A servant girl at the side stared at Gu Qingwen and said coldly, This is the base of our Sacred Glory mercenary group. Even if it's rented, it will expire in half a year. Why are you here? Gu Qingwen questioned with a cold face. Huh. When the girl heard his words, she raised her eyebrows slightly. I bought this place. I don't care if you have expired or not. Now you bunch of damnable guys compensate me for my sword. Otherwise, I'll make things easier for you in the future. You bought it. Gu Qingwen and the others' faces changed slightly. They were a little embarrassed. We have the lease contract in our hands. It will only expire after half a year. What does it have to do with me? I bought the house 10 days ago. I wanted to look for you guys to find the person who signed the contract with you. Now it's time for us to talk about breaking into my house and destroying my weapon. The girl walked towards them with a cold expression. She stared at Wang Xian with a burning gaze. No one has dared to destroy my Aoshue's weapon. If you don't give me an explanation today, don't blame me for being impolite. So what if I destroyed it? Wang Xian looked at the girl's burning expression and asked with a dark expression. It was obvious that this house was originally rented by the Holy Light mercenary group. However, the owner of the house might have sold the house after they disappeared for half a year. However, the moment they entered, the girl didn't hold back at all. She directly controlled her longsword to attack. She was filled with killing intent, causing Wang Xian to feel a chill in his heart. So what? You're very arrogant. If you don't kowtow to me and admit your mistake now and compensate me for my treasured sword, there will be no place for you in Shanghai town. After you leave the city, be careful not to die in the wilderness. The girl said coldly to Wang Xian. Her tone was filled with killing intent. You're courting death. How dare you speak to our Dragon King like that? When the 10 Draconids heard the girl's words, their faces instantly turned gloomy. Gu Qingwen did not hesitate at all and directly attacked the girl. You dare to touch me? My father is the vice leader of the Squalid Shark mercenary group. If you dare to touch me. When the girl saw the imposing manner that Gu Qingwen instantly erupted, a trace of fear flashed across her eyes as she screamed. Let's go. When Wang Xian heard her words, he frowned slightly and shouted softly. It's the Dragon King. Gu Qingwen's expression changed and he stopped. Wang Xian turned around and walked out. Gu Qingwen and the rest stared at the woman coldly before following her out. Bastard Xiaoye, go and ask my father's men. Which mercenary group did you rent this house to in the past? How dare they destroy my weapon and even dare to attack me? The girl watched them leave with a cold and stern look in her eyes. A servant girl at the side hurriedly nodded and walked out. Xiaogu, if I remember correctly, the owner of the house I rented belongs to a member of the Dogfish mercenary group. If she really is the daughter of the vice leader of the Dogfish mercenary group, this house might not have been bought. Walking out of the house, a middle-aged man said to Gu Qingwen with an embarrassed expression. Yes. Gu Qingwen nodded his head with a solemn expression. He looked at Wang Xian and said, Dragon King, it's our fault. If that woman is really the daughter of the vice-captain of the Squalid Shark mercenary group, we might be in big trouble. Wang Xian shook his head slowly. He did not expect to have a strong enemy the moment he arrived in this world. However, this also allowed him to witness the cruelty of this world. It was forbidden to fight in the town. If there was a grudge, one could enter the arena. However, in the wild there was no order at all. The Dogfish mercenary group was a powerful force in Shanghai town. It was not something they could afford to provoke at the moment. Let's find a restaurant to stay tonight. Also, bring me to the center of the town to take a look. Wang Xian frowned and said in deep thought. It's the Dragon King. The center of the town is just ahead. Everyone nodded. Don't call me the Dragon King in the future. Call me leader. Wang Xian spoke slowly as he walked towards the front. It's the leader. The group of draconids did not hesitate and nodded immediately. The most eye-catching spot at the center of the town was the mayor's residence. Other than the mayor's residence, there was also the demon-hunting mercenary group. The demon-hunting mercenary group was not the name of a mercenary group. Instead, it was the headquarters of the mercenary group. It was located at the center of the town. Wang Xian looked at the branch of the mercenary group in Shanghai town and was deep in thought. He looked to the side and suddenly found a familiar name. Phoenix Elixir and Weapons Workshop. He smiled and said, "Let's go to the demon-hunting mercenary group and form a new mercenary group." Wang Xian had already made up his mind. He would form a mercenary group first. Since the elixir and weapon shop was opened by Feng Luan first, he would not compete with her. He would start from the most fundamental mercenary group in the supernatural continent. He would build a strong mercenary group, the most powerful mythical mercenary group. He would also become the leader of a mythical level mercenary group. I'll first move to the seaside and accept missions related to the sea. I'll subdue the sea creatures and build a force under the sea. After that, I'll slowly conquer the entire sea. A smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. With the mercenary group and the sea, they could develop in two ways. If one day, you become the empress and I become the myth of the supernatural continent, the master of the sea. Let's see who succeeds first. Chapter 880, Demon Hunter Academy. Today, the Horned Shark Mercenary Group killed a horned snake in the eastern suburbs swamp. I'm really envious. The mission to kill the horned snake is 1-star gold rank. After the Horned Shark Mercenary Group completes a few 1-star gold rank missions, they will be able to advance to 2-star gold rank. Today, the Demon Hunter Academy of Eastern Sea City is recruiting students. I wonder how many people will be able to complete the trial mission. Is there a mercenary group going to Murloc Island for a mission? If there is, we will request for a mercenary group above silver rank. As they walked into the Demon Hunters mercenary group, lively voices could be heard. Many young, middle-aged, and even old men were sitting at the tables and talking loudly. Some of them were shirtless and their bodies were covered in scars. Some of them were drinking and listening quietly. There were men and women. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings. The entire Demon Hunter mercenary group was huge. Every single one of them was exuding a ferocious aura. Most of them were above the extraordinaire level. No wonder Gu Qingwen and the rest wanted to establish an empire after coming to Earth. They are just small fry on the extraordinaire continent. That's why they want to live a life like a king. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the place and walked straight to the innermost area. In the middle of the area there was a huge screen. The screen was filled with all kinds of missions. There were missions to hunt demonic beasts. There were escorts. There were missions to search for spiritual herbs. There were large-scale missions and small-scale missions. There were all kinds of missions. The level of the missions ranged from bronze level to mythical level. And among the mythical rank missions, there was actually a mission to obtain the dragon tooth of the dragon race. Wang Xian took a glance and walked to the service counter. I want to establish a mercenary group, he said to a woman at the service counter. Establishing a mercenary group requires 10,000 low-grade spiritual stones. The initial mercenary group is 1-star bronze rank. If it is established, please pay the spiritual stones. The waiter said to Wang Xian without even lifting his head. Established. Wang Xian nodded and took out 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. Please state the name of the mercenary group. We will make a badge for all of you. 1 low-grade spirit stone for each badge. The waiter raised his head and said to him, "The Dragon King Mercenary Group." Wang Xian said directly. The waiter was stunned for a moment. Then he sized up Wang Xian and laughed. "The Dragon King Mercenary Group? Young man, are you courting death? How dare you call yourself the Dragon King Mercenary Group? Leader, the dragon race has a strong reputation in the supernatural continent. Once someone slanders them, the dragon race will kill them immediately when they find out." The Draconid reminded him hurriedly. Is that so? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect the dragon race to be so domineering. Young man, change your name. This name is not beneficial. The waiter at the front desk said with a smile. Then let's call it the Celestial Phoenix Mercenary Group. Wang Xian didn't mind it too much. There was no need to create more trouble over a name. Moreover, the name of the Celestial Phoenix Mercenary Group was not bad. Wang Xian thought about it and smiled. How many badges do you want? Also, do you want some other supporting tools? You can take a look. The receptionist continued to speak to Wang Xian. Take one of the mission stone plates. Give me 20 badges first. Wang Xian said directly. All right, wait for a while. The badges will be produced very soon. The mission stone plate costs 1 million low-grade spiritual stones. You can pay with medium-grade spiritual stones. The waiter said to Wang Xian. Low-grade spiritual stones. Wang Xian paid 1,020 spiritual stones without hesitation. The mission stone tablet was equivalent to the mission screen in the Demon Hunters Mercenary Group. One could view it through the stone tablet. This item was similar to a computer, but it was achieved through a formation. In the current Transcendence continent, there were no legendary level mercenary groups. There were only 3 legendary level mercenary groups. Ding! The system has issued a mission to unify the sea of the Transcendence continent. The reward is Jade Dragon Seed, Heavenly Tree. Ding! The system has issued a mission. The path of the strong has been opened. As a divine dragon, the dragon can amaze the world. The path of the mercenary group can be upgraded to a silver mercenary group. One can obtain a random extraordinary item from the Dragon Palace's treasure. At this moment, the system's voice suddenly rang out, causing Wang Xian to be slightly stunned. Following that, a smile appeared on his face. I just saw the instructor of the Demon Hunters Academy entering our Holy Sea town. The selection of the Demon Hunter College is about to begin. I wonder which lucky one will be able to enter the Demon Hunter College. I'm going to participate in it tomorrow as well. If I enter the Demon Hunter College, I'll be able to gain a lot of resources and connections. I might even be able to join some gold mercenary groups. Sai, I don't want to anymore. I took the assessment once when I was 30 years old. It was too difficult. At this moment, the entire hall suddenly became lively. Most of the people were talking about the Demon Hunter College. Demon Hunter College? Wang Xian mumbled as he recalled the things about the Demon Hunter College in his mind. The Demon Hunter College existed in every dynasty and empire. Its main purpose was to nurture a mercenary group. As there were too many demons and monsters in this world, it required too many strong people to eradicate them and solve some hidden dangers. Therefore, a mercenary group was very important in the entire Transcendence continent. By entering the Demon Hunter Academy, one could learn more martial techniques, obtain more information, and cultivate the elites of the mercenary groups. Those who could graduate from the Demon Hunter Academy were all experienced experts. Similarly, it was very difficult to enter the Demon Hunter Academy. One could not be more than 40 years old, and they had to complete the assessment mission. The Demon Hunter Academy was free, and it mainly focused on actual combat. As long as one completed a certain mission, they could smoothly graduate. For everyone who wanted to become strong, the Demon Hunter College was the most ideal place. Of course, it was not that easy to enter the Demon Hunter College. There were more than a dozen towns under Donghai City, and each town had a few million people. In addition to the people in Donghai City, every year, there were more than a few 100,000 people who wanted to join the Demon Hunter College. Leader, it would be best if we could join the Demon Hunter College. Joining it would bring great benefits to our mercenary group. Gu Qingwen and the rest looked at Wang Xian with burning eyes as they spoke. Okay. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. The purpose of the Demon Hunters Academy was to nurture powerful mercenaries. The restrictions were very low as long as they completed a fixed mission every semester. In the Demon Hunters Academy, one could obtain some information and resources that the outside world could not. Your badges have been made. If you want to make a mercenary group uniform, you can go to the side to make a custom one. Also, after the mercenary group's level has increased, you can change your badges for free. Soon, the waiter shouted at them and handed them a badge with a bronze sword and a shield crossed together. Below there were 5 big words, Immortal Phoenix Mercenary Group. The badge could be directly put on the clothes to symbolize identity. Chapter 881. It was not safe outside. Let's go. After walking out of the mercenary group, Wang Xian and the rest went straight to a restaurant. They rented a few rooms and ordered some food. The buildings in the supernatural continent usually had 5 to 6 floors and were about 20 meters tall. They were exceptionally sturdy. In every town or city there would be 4 to 5 huge towers. Those towers were used to look at the distant towers to stabilize the formation and defend against flying demonic beasts. Dragon 2, Dragon 3, you guys are a little old. You guys have passed the age of recruitment for the Demon Hunters Academy. Wang Xian sat on the table and swept his gaze across the 10 people beside him. The names used in the past were too troublesome. Wang Xian named them from Dragon 1 to Dragon 10. Gu Qingwen was Dragon 1. Dragon 2, Dragon 3 were 2 middle-aged men. They were already over 60 years old. On the Transcendence continent, those in their 60s were middle-aged men, and those below 50 were young men. Those who had reached transcendence would have a lifespan of 500 years. Those below 40 were considered very young. Yes, leader. If you enter the Demon Hunter Academy, we can only wait outside. We can wait until we finish the mission together. The 2 middle-aged men nodded and said bitterly, Dragon King, in the past, I didn't have the confidence to enter the Demon Hunter Academy. Now I have 80% confidence. Long Yi's face was full of fighting spirit. With the Divine Dragon bloodline, our current strength has greatly increased. We can't say that we're invincible among the same level, but we're definitely not a match for them. Long Air, Long San, and Long Yi were all at Transcendent Level 3, while Long Yi and the others were at Transcendent Level 2. In the past, the Holy Glory Mercenary Group was at Level 1 Silver Star. Long Yi was now around 30 years old. His talent was considered to be at the genius level. The rest of them were around 38 or 40 years old. They barely qualified for the Demon Hunter College. After becoming a Draconid and possessing the bloodline of the Divine Dragon, their abilities had improved tremendously. Let's see tomorrow. It would be best if we could join. Wang Xian nodded slowly. The next morning Wang Xian woke up early. After a simple meal, the group of people brought along the badge of the Celestial Phoenix Mercenary Group and headed towards the square. Quick, quick. Let's hurry over. Son, remember what I told you. You must be careful. Survival is more important. Forget it if you can't complete the assessment. I wonder what the assessment will be this year. Last year's assessment was equivalent to a 5-star bronze rank mission. I hope it won't be so difficult this year. Early in the morning, the surrounding people hurriedly walked towards the square. Some brought their children along while some looked excited. Those who did not participate in the assessment were prohibited from entering the square. A sign was placed at the entrance of the square. A middle-aged man stood there. On the shoulder of the middle-aged man stood a black crow. The crow's eyes were earthy yellow and it looked very strange. We want to participate in the assessment. Wang Xian and the rest arrived. Long Yi said to the middle-aged man, Enter. The middle-aged man said coldly. The 9 of them immediately walked towards the square. Brother, I'm the deputy leader of the Torrent Mercenary Group. I'm sending my son to participate in this assessment. Those who don't take the assessment shut up. Those who take the assessment go inside. The Torrent Mercenary Group is a 2-star gold mercenary group. It's a famous and powerful mercenary group in our Holy See town. Now there are actually so many talented students. At this moment voices came from the side. They were discussing with an embarrassed expression. Wang Xian swept his gaze over. The so-called Transcendence Academy, Holy See Academy, was considered a beginner-level cultivation academy. Ordinary children would enter these academies to learn and cultivate systematically before breaking through to the Transcendence realm. Those who were qualified and talented could enter an intermediate-level academy, which was similar to the Demon Hunter Academy. However, the Demon Hunter Academy was very dangerous. The chances of death were very high when one entered the academy. This was because the Demon Hunter and Demon Hunter was a battle. Furthermore, there would be many life and death battles. One after another, more and more youths entered the square. Very quickly, the number of youths in the square reached more than 10,000. It's Ao Shui, Qingfeng, Beiming and the others. Their team is extremely powerful. It's almost 100% certain that they will be able to enter the Demon Hunters Academy. Ao Shui, the daughter of Vice Leader Ao Tian Qingfeng, is the third strongest among the Transcendental Academy's current batch of graduates. Beiming and the Transcendental Academy's current batch of graduates are ranked second. All of them possess the strength of a Transcendent Tier 2. Furthermore, the group of people beside them aren't weak either. If they join forces, they will definitely be able to complete the assessment mission. It would be great if I could join their team. Move aside, move aside. They are walking towards the front. Let's move aside. There was a small commotion at the back. Following that, Wang Xian heard the group of people at the back making a path for them. Wang Xian turned his head in surprise and looked at the group of people walking towards the front. There were 8 people in the group. There were 2 women and 6 men. It's her. Wang Xian frowned. A cold gaze stared at him and the woman stopped moving. What's wrong, Ao Shui? The girl beside him saw him suddenly stopping and asked in puzzlement. She followed her gaze and looked over. I didn't expect to meet you here. Ao Shui suddenly laughed. Her smile was filled with coldness and playfulness. What's wrong? Ao Shui, do you know them? A young man at the side raised his eyebrows. He looked at Ao Shui and swept a glance at Wang Xian. Yes, my sword was destroyed by him. Furthermore, they wanted to kill me. Hee. Ao Shui was still smiling, but her eyes were like poisonous snakes. Is there such a thing? The young man slowly narrowed his eyes and swept his gaze across Wang Xian and the rest. It was yesterday. Ao Shui's smile slowly disappeared. I didn't expect all of you to participate in the Demon Hunter College's assessment. Very good. Hee hee. Wang Xian laughed coldly when he heard their words. When the surrounding people heard the situation, they looked over with a face full of surprise. Laugh it up. Laugh it up now. No one dares to destroy my sword and still want to attack me. Let me tell you, it's not safe outside. Be careful during the assessment. Ao Shui said coldly. Hee, someone actually dares to bully Ao Shui. Looks like there will be a few more corpses in the wild. The corner of a young man's mouth curled up slightly. He held the long sword in his hand and smiled coldly. Scram! Wang Xian frowned and shouted at them coldly. Chapter 882 had been repressed for a long time. A cold voice rang out, causing the faces of Ao Shui and the rest to darken. How dare you bully Miss Ao Shui? I think all of you are simply courting death. Oh, scram. Who did you tell to scram? Kid, if you provoke Miss Ao Shui, young Master Beiming and the rest, you won't even know how you died. Where did you come from, you brat? Watch your words, or you won't be able to live for long. However, just as Wang Xian finished his sentence, mocking and cold voices came from the surroundings. One by one, young men stood out and stared coldly at Wang Xian and the rest. Miss Ao Shui, do you need our help later? One by one, the young men had a look of flattery in their eyes as they asked Ao Shui and the rest. Ao Shui and the rest were among the strongest in the entire square. If they were to take care of them, their chances of completing the assessment would be much higher. In the Demon Hunter Academy's assessment, it was normal for examinees to form teams. As demon hunters, it was normal for them to have a team. As long as they could complete the assessment regardless of methods or methods. If it's convenient, I'll lend a hand. Ao Shui looked at the fawning expressions of the young men and raised his head slightly. Yes, yes. The young men quickly nodded their heads. What's going on? Did they provoke Ao Shui, Qingfeng and Beiming? Hee, there will be deaths during the assessment. This group of people is going to be unlucky. Ao Shui and the others are all experts from the mercenary group. I heard that they have gone on a few missions with the mercenary group. Their methods are very strong. They are really courting death. This is good too. They have fewer competitors. Look, the badges on their chests are actually the Bronze 1-Star Mercenary Group. A Bronze 1-Star Cannon Fodder Mercenary Group dares to provoke Ao Shui and the rest? Are they courting death? The people around were slightly stunned. However, when they saw the Bronze 1-Star Mercenary Group badges on Wang Xian and the rest's chests, they revealed a mocking expression. A newbie dared to provoke a group of heaven's favorites. Furthermore, each of them had an extremely powerful background. Wasn't this courting death? It was no wonder that a few people would directly flatter them just now, using a few newbies to curry favor with Ao Shui. And the rest was the most suitable choice. When Wang Xian and the group of Draconids heard the voices around them, their expressions gradually turned cold. He swept his gaze across the people around him and a hint of killing intent flashed across his eyes. In the square, the rest of the few thousand people looked over mockingly. They were filled with schadenfreude. Chirp chirp. At this moment, the sound of a bird chirping resounded across the entire sky of the square. The teachers from the Demon Hunters Academy are here. Everyone in the square had a slight change in expression. They hurriedly whispered and the young men stood up straight. Let's go. Let's go to the front. Qing Feng raised his head and walked forward with a knife in his arms. Okay. Ao Shui nodded her head. As she passed by Wang Xian and the rest, she looked at them with a smile and said mischievously, "Do you regret it? However, it's useless to regret it now. Hee." After she said that, she walked forward with a smile. Wang Xian's face was solemn. His eyes were flickering and he didn't say a word. Crash! At this moment, the sound of flapping wings could be heard from the sky. Wang Xian took a glance at their backs and looked towards the sky. There were 5 middle-aged men. Every middle-aged man was exuding a powerful aura. This terrifying aura was directed downwards without any concealment. How terrifying! He's at least at Transcendent Level 5. His rank 5 Transcendents are considered experts in St. C Town. All of the youths had solemn expressions on their faces. Although the lifespan of a Transcendent expert reached 500 years, it was extremely difficult to increase their strength. They needed large amounts of resources to comprehend divine abilities. Sometimes a single rank could trap a martial artist for decades, or even hundreds of years. Not to mention the probability of dying in this world was too high. Even Transcendents didn't dare to guarantee that they could live for 200 or 300 years. There are quite a number of people. There are more than 10,000 people. If there are too many people, there will be even more deaths. If we eliminate half of them, at least a few thousand people will die. 5 middle-aged men stood on top of a 10-meter-long black bird, and 2 of them muttered to themselves. Their voices echoed throughout the entire square. The words of the 2 middle-aged men caused the expressions of all the youths to change slightly. However, all of them gritted their teeth and their faces were filled with fighting spirit. At this moment, they could not show any signs of cowardice. That was equivalent to being directly eliminated. The Demon Hunters Academy did not look at talent or age. They only looked at whether one could complete the assessment and hunt demon beasts. This was the only standard of the Demon Hunters Academy. They are all quite brave. A middle-aged man laughed. This year's assessment mission will be carried out on the Murloc Island. Each person will be given 5 pieces of jade glue to complete the mission. If so many people go, they will be sent to death. Get lost. The middle-aged man standing on the left said. He touched his chin and shouted the last sentence. Murloc Island obtained 5 pieces of jade glue. This is actually going to Murloc Island to obtain jade glue. Hiss. The faces of everyone in the square changed slightly, and some of the young men even turned pale. We have to set off in 5 minutes. At that time you will enter Murloc Island directly. We will not be responsible for any casualties. Those who want to leave now, hurry up and don't waste your lives. The middle-aged man swept his gaze across the crowd below and waved his hand impatiently. I'll leave. I'll leave too. Murloc Island, the big-mouthed piranhas above are at least Transcendent Level 1. There are even level 4 and level 5 big-mouthed piranhas at the center. The young men's faces were pale as they lowered their heads and walked out. For a moment there was a continuous stream of people walking out. This mission was difficult to complete for Transcendent Level 1 and Level 2 Transcendents. They had to be careful as well. Most of the people in the field were at Transcendent Level 1. They could only awkwardly walk out and withdraw. 5 minutes later, there were only about 1,000 people in the square. That's more like it. Everyone receive your assessment tokens. The duration of the mission is 2 days. As long as you complete the assessment mission, you can immediately withdraw. If you exceed the limit, you will be added to the credits in the future. Credits are very useful. There's one last point. If you die, you die. A middle-aged man said with a smile, "Follow us to the beach. The ship is ready." Yes. The people below nodded and flew in the air. Clearly, the Demon Hunters Academy had the privilege of flying in the town. Let's go. The few middle-aged men didn't waste any time and flew straight into the sky. Hehe, I didn't expect you guys to dare to stay here. Just as Wang Xian and the rest were flying into the sky, a mocking voice was heard. Wang Xian turned his head and grinned. I've been repressed here for a long time. Chapter 883 Kill. Coming to the supernatural world gave him a depressing feeling. He who was invincible on Earth came here. He was careful in every aspect. Yesterday, the girl attacked them directly with her long sword. She was full of killing intent. Wang Xian had the ability to kill her, but he could only endure it. In the demon hunting mercenary group, he even had to be careful when naming the Dragon King mercenary group. This gave him a depressing feeling. There was actually someone who wanted to kill him now. Wang Xian looked ahead with a cold look in his eyes. Hee. When Ao Shui heard Wang Xian's words, she snorted coldly. Just wait and see. Wang Xian didn't say anything. He followed behind and flew toward the beach. The Demon Hunter Academy's assessment has begun. I didn't expect that the assessment this year would be about going to the Mermaid Island to hunt the big-mouthed piranhas. Moreover, we have to kill 5 of them. This is not an easy task. It's equivalent to a 5-star bronze mission. Among the candidates for this assessment, Bei Ming, Qing Feng, Ao Shui, Qi Lian, Hua Fengzi and the rest of the famous geniuses in Shanghai town should be able to pass. A few geniuses should be able to enter the Demon Hunter College successfully. Below, the people of Holy Sea Town were discussing in low voices. The Demon Hunters Academy was not so easy to enter. Moreover, it had an extremely high death rate. Those who could enter it were either geniuses without backgrounds, or wanted to become a member of a powerful mercenary group. Some powerful mercenary groups were comparable to some big families and sections. When they came to the seaside, there was a huge ship docked there. The ship's body was dark like a giant beast in the sea, emitting an unpleasant smell. This was a beast ship. The smell on it would make most aquatic creatures dislike it, so they would not approach it. Mermaid Island was not very far from Holy Sea Town. 50 kilometers away was in the shallow sea area, where there were many islands. The area of the islands was about 100 kilometers, and it was very large. This island was very strange. There were more than 10 mountains supporting it underwater. There would be seawater in some places on the island, and if one jumped down they would be at the bottom of the sea. There was a group of fish living around here, the big-mouthed piranhas. The piranhas were 2 to 3 meters in size. Their heads took up 4/5 of their bodies, and they had terrifying teeth. With a single bite, they could even leave marks on transcendent weapons. They had a hard head, and their bodies were completely covered in fish scales. The weakest piranha with a big mouth was in existence at the first level of transcendence. The jade glue of the piranha with a big mouth was the most precious item on its body. The item for this mission was this jade glue. 1,000 examinees came to the ship, and some people who knew each other quickly got to know each other, preparing to work together. Some formed teams while a few chose to fight alone. Soon teams formed on the ship. The largest team consisted of 20 people. The leader was a young man who stood proudly in the middle. When we arrive at Mermaid Island, we will kill them. Ao Shui leaned against the railing of the ship. She glanced at Wang Xian and said nonchalantly. It was as though getting rid of Wang Xian and the rest was a trivial matter. It's not that troublesome. We should try our best to kill more piranhas in the next 2 days. Bei Ming, who was beside him, had a head of short hair. He wiped his long sword as he looked to the side and waved his hand. Brother Ming, what are your orders? Not far from the side, more than 10 young men gathered together. A burly young man immediately walked over with a smile on his face. Do you see that group of people? I don't want to see them anymore. Bei Ming lightly said with a face full of smiles. Are they the ones who recklessly provoked Miss Ao Shui? Don't worry, Brother Ming, leave it to us. The burly youth slightly narrowed his eyes and coldly said. N. Bei Ming lightly nodded his head. The opponents this time, one is Qingfeng's group, the other is Qi Lian's group, and Superstar Golden Crack's group. The rest of the groups are much weaker. On the ship, a girl twirled the ring in her hand and said calmly. Her face was full of smiles. However, in this assessment I want to get first place. First, I have to set a small goal and get 20 pieces of jade glue. Hee. This time I must get it. Only trash will only think about completing the mission. First is what I want. I want to enter the Demon Hunter College with the first place. This way I can create my own powerful mercenary group. On the ship, some young men murmured, their eyes full of fighting spirit. Above the ship, 5 middle-aged men glanced at everyone below with smiles on their faces. This year, the strength of Holy Sea Town is not bad. Not bad. Compared to the students of East Sea City, it's still much worse. The 2 middle-aged men said with a smile. The ship was moving very fast. 20 minutes later, a huge island appeared in their line of sight. The Mermaid Island is ahead. Everyone fly over. After completing the mission, you can come to the ship. 2 days later at this moment we will leave on time. Those who don't come will be considered dead and eliminated. The middle-aged man shouted, now everyone set off. Let's go. Everyone on the ship did not hesitate and immediately flew towards the Mermaid Island. Dragon King, should we act now or wait for a while? Long Yi glanced ahead and said with a cold gaze. There's no rush. Ao Yao is already beside them. The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. After entering the Mermaid Island, death meant death. Even if he was killed by his companions, the instructors of the Demon Hunters Academy would not pursue anything. Moreover, the Mermaid Island was a good place to level up. At this moment, Wang Xian sensed that someone was following them. More than 1,000 candidates flew toward the Mermaid Island. However, most of them had dispersed. If each team went to a single location, there would be a conflict. Now, there was actually someone following them. Dragon King. These people have evil intentions and are filled with murderous intent. At this moment, the voice of the Draconids could be heard from the side. Attack directly and kill them. A hint of coldness flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. It's the Dragon King. The eyes of the group of Draconids were filled with killing intent. Wang Xian and the rest increased their flying speed and landed directly on the island. Instantly, a strong fishy smell was emitted from the surroundings. Kiki, surround them. At the back, the burly young man saw Wang Xian and the rest increasing their speed as they landed. A hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly as he said to the dozen of people beside him, how dare a little one-star bronze rookie provoke Brother Ao Shueming and the rest? Die! However, when the dozen of people beside him landed on the island, Wang Xian turned around immediately. Burn the river and boil the sea. Kill. The group of Draconids followed closely behind. Chapter 884 Breakthrough. Burning the river and boiling the sea. It was a direct attack from the very beginning. Now with Wang Xian's strength, it was easy for him to exterminate a level 2 extraordinary. Back then, when he was fighting against the leader of the Holy Glory mercenary group, who was at level 4 extraordinary, the two of them combined and killed him directly. Now that there was a group of level 2 extraordinary individuals, Wang Xian did not hold back at all. He felt a little aggrieved these 2 days. Boom! Terrifying flames erupted directly. The flames within a radius of 1,000 meters instantly attacked the burly young man and the rest. Behind them, the group of draconids also erupted with their superpowers. When the 13 people who were prepared to besiege them saw Wang Xian's attack, their expressions changed drastically. It's not good. The opponent is very strong. The young man who was the first to be hit by the flames had a drastic change in expression as he roared loudly. Hee, all of you can go to hell. The 8 draconids slashed out with their swords and sabers. Shield. The face of the burly young man in the middle changed slightly. He moved his body and a shield appeared in his hand. A powerful earth attribute divine ability covered his entire body, turning him into a 3-meter-long aborigine. However, the 3 people at the front were unable to withstand Wang Xian's fire attack. Their bodies were instantly covered in flames. Not good. Fear appeared in the eyes of the burly young man. He shouted in a hurry, brother. Why are you attacking us? Hee. Wang Xian laughed mockingly. His eyes sparkled as he attacked the burly young man without stopping. Boom! Wang Xian arrived in front of him. The fire dragon bead appeared in his hand and swept across the surroundings. What? When his gaze landed on the young man's shield, it started to burn rapidly. His body moved and a large amount of earth energy churned in an attempt to extinguish the flames. However, it had no effect at all. At the side, the other 9 people in the burning river boiling sea were instantly hit by the dragon bead and the 8 draconids. The terrifying power of the flames, coupled with the full strength of the dragonmen, landed on them. The group of dragonmen were at the 2nd level of the extraordinary realm, and were almost invincible in the same realm. The burning river boiled sea already had the power to kill those at the 2nd level of the extraordinary realm. After 2 terrifying attacks, the 9 people didn't have the ability to resist at all. No, don't kill us. We have no enmity with you. Don't. Hong. You can kill us without enmity. A metallic blade of light with a terrifying blade light directly cut through the middle. This strength, how can it be so strong? The burly youth in the center who was covered in endless flames had a horrified expression. They were clearly just a 1-star bronze mercenary group. They had never even heard of their names. How could they have such terrifying strength? Flames, the flames on their bodies. His face revealed a terrified expression as he looked around. However, he discovered that the closest one to them was a few kilometers away. As for Ao Shui Beiming and the others, they had no idea where they were going. With an ugly expression, he directly jumped into the ocean beside him. Pung! After entering the ocean, what frightened him was that the flames did not dissipate. Instead, they were burning intensely. They could not be extinguished. They could not be extinguished at all. If you want to kill me, let me kill you first. Then I will look for them. A cold voice was heard. The burly young man widened his eyes and revealed a terrified expression. At this moment, the ice-cold water sword pierced through his body and kept him into his interspatial ring. Dragon King, we've dealt with all of them. When Wang Xian flew up, the group of draconids said respectfully. Put the corpse away. Let's go. Wang Xian said to them. It's the Dragon King. The corpse of an expert could be absorbed by the Dragon Cave. After being absorbed, it could strengthen the strength of the members of the Dragon Palace. A corpse of a level 2 supernatural realm could definitely create a level 1 supernatural realm member of the Dragon Palace. I'll go and hunt the big-mouthed piranhas. As long as I don't run into any level 5 supernatural realm piranhas, I'll be able to deal with them easily. The assessment? I wonder what benefits I'll get if I kill too many of them. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he stared at the huge island in front of him. This was a good place for him to level up. It's good to be a mercenary group. If I accept some ocean missions, I'll be able to understand the basic situation of this sea area. This place should be safer as the assessment ground for the Demon Hunters Academy. Wang Xian moved his body and dashed forward. The scale rocks on the island were uneven. There were also some seaweed and vines growing on them. Some of the seaweed was as tall as 5 to 6 meters and was densely packed. Dragon King, the big-mouthed piranha, has a huge mouth and is of the earth attribute. It doesn't store much oxygen. Therefore, they can't stay at the bottom of the sea. They like to hide and attack the enemy when they are caught off guard. Longyi introduced to Wang Xian. He nodded his head and his eyes flashed with a red and blue glow. The earth attribute was relatively strong in terms of concealment. This place was called the Mermaid Island and there were many piranhas. The jade glue in the piranhas was an important ingredient to refine a kind of medicinal pill. It was good for the skin if consumed directly and was loved by the ladies. The price was not low. Wang Xian's gaze swept forward and moved quickly. 8 draconids followed from left to right as they watched their surroundings vigilantly. Big-mouthed piranha. Transcendence level 1. Extractable dragon energy 0. 2 dragon crystals. Big-mouthed piranha. Transcendence level 2. Extractable dragon energy 2 dragon crystals. When a piece of information appeared in his mind, Wang Xian revealed a smile. With the penetrating eye in the system, he could perfectly scan all the hidden creatures around him. Wang Xian moved his body and looked at the 2 big-mouthed piranhas in front of him. They had a huge head that was 2 meters in size. The mouth took up half of the head and had incomparably dense teeth. They looked extremely terrifying. They were hidden in the grass and there was a hole below where they could enter the seabed directly. Earth conquers wood. The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly as he began to hunt. Bind! A gush of azure dragon aura emanated from his body. The azure dragon bead appeared in his hand and attacked the 2 piranhas from the ground. The surroundings were filled with seaweed. It was the perfect terrain for wood attribute cultivators. Whoosh! 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 In an instant, the dense seaweed became thicker and longer, binding the 2 large-mouthed piranhas. Crack! Crack! The green dragon bead flew above the 2 big-mouthed piranhas and transformed into 2 green dragon claws that landed on their heads. The dense wooden thorns entered the piranhas' bodies and killed them. Wang Xian opened his mouth and transformed into a dragon in an instant, devouring them. Ding! Devouring the big-mouthed piranhas has increased by 0. 2 draconic crystals. Ding! Devouring the big-mouthed piranhas has increased by 2 draconic crystals. Alright, there are still more than 10 levels of dragonglass left for me to level up. I'll level up first. The assessment will be a piece of cake. The Celestial Phoenix mercenary group will soon be able to shake the entire region. Wang Xian's face was filled with confidence. With the eye of penetration in the system, he could easily scan demonic beasts. After devouring them, he could rapidly increase his cultivation level. The corpses of demonic beasts could also increase the strength of the members of the Dragon Palace. Chapter 885 Draconic Aura. On the Mermaid Island, craggy rocks and densely packed seaweed covered the island. Within the cracks between the grass and the island, terrifying piranhas were hiding within. Piranhas belonged to the category of fierce beasts and did not have intelligence. On the transcendental continent, there were 4 types of creatures: humans, dragons, fierce beasts, and demon beasts. The difference between fierce beasts and demon beasts was their intelligence. Demon beasts had powerful intelligence, while fierce beasts, just based on their beast-like instincts, were targets of hunting in the entire transcendental continent. However, ferocious beasts that had lost their intelligence were very strong in terms of reproduction ability. They were also the most common existences in the Transcendence continent. Whoosh! 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 Coo! 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 The sound of vines could be heard. A dragon claw grabbed the head of a large-mouthed piranha. The dragon claw sank into the head and swallowed the piranha. The 21st one. I'm still 2 more dragon crystals away from breaking through to the 2nd level of transcendence. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. He reverted back to his dragon form and scanned his surroundings. Although it was very troublesome to change his form back and forth, his dragon form was at least 20 meters in size. It was too eye-catching. He could only release his dragon form when he attacked. Wang Xian stood on a protruding rock and scanned his surroundings. There's a formation there. Wang Xian frowned when he looked ahead. At this moment he had already entered deep into the island. There was an energy blocking his vision. After all, the Eye of Penetration was obtained from a creature at the bottom of the sea. Its ability is limited. It would be great if I could really obtain an eye technique. Wang Xian thought to himself. He looked over there and turned around to search in another direction. The 8 draconids did not need them at all. Wang Xian decided to let them act on their own while he acted alone. After all, the potential of the draconids was not as good as the members of the Dragon Palace. After this assessment he would call some strange demons and golden swordfish over. Second level of transcendence. After searching for more than 10 minutes, Wang Xian's eyes lit up. A smile appeared in his eyes. As long as he swallowed this piranha, he would be able to achieve a breakthrough. With a leap, Wang Xian easily controlled the surrounding seaweed to trap it. Then he transformed into a dragon and devoured it. Wang Xian's current combat strength was comparable to a level 4 or level 2 extraordinary creature. He could easily kill it. Ding! Devour a level 2 extraordinary piranha with a big mouth. Extract 2 dragon crystals of dragon chi. Ding! Level up. Level up to the first change of the divine dragon transformation. Level 2 of the supernatural. Ding! Level up. Comprehension of the divine ability. Eye of the heavenly dragon. Level up. And I even obtained a divine ability. Wang Xian's eyes lit up as his heart skipped a beat. Eye of the heavenly dragon. Peering up into the 9 heavens, peering down into the 9 netherworlds. Peering up into the 9 heavens, peering down into the 9 netherworlds. What a domineering introduction. Wang Xian's eyes were like torches as his pupils began to change slowly. The heavenly dragon was one of the dragon species in the Dragon Palace. Their most powerful means was to investigate. The eye of the heavenly dragon was accidentally comprehended because of Wang Xian's penetrating eye. Buzz. In an instant Wang Xian's eyes became deep. One of his eyes was the starry sky while the other was the pitch-black netherworld. It looked extremely strange. He looked to the left. There was someone setting up a formation there. Now that he looked over with the eye of the heavenly dragon, the formation gradually disappeared, revealing the scene inside. 2 young men were fighting with 5 big-mouthed piranhas. The formation blocked off all sounds to prevent attracting the enemy. Goo. Suddenly, at this moment, a big-mouthed piranha with an extraordinary first level flew out from the bushes and attacked him with a furious face. Wang Xian quickly turned around. The seaweed around him was undergoing a terrifying transformation. Coo. All of a sudden, the big-mouthed piranha's eyes were filled with fear. It laid on the ground and looked at Wang Xian in worship. This is... Wang Xian was slightly stunned. The seaweed around him stopped attacking. This is dragon's might. It can suppress aquatic creatures that are of a lower level than itself. Wang Xian revealed a smile. Dragon's might was a talent that he had always neglected. It could suppress and control aquatic creatures that were lower in level than him. Now it's even more convenient. Wang Xian's heart skipped a beat as he continued walking inside. Help! Suddenly a scream came from not far away. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes. His eyes changed again and the scene before him appeared in his sight. More than 20 big-mouthed piranhas were chasing after an 8-man team. The 8 people in the team had pale faces as they cried out for help. 15 of them are at Transcendent Level 1 and 9 of them are at Transcendent Level 2. Wang Xian didn't hesitate at all and flew directly in their direction. Brother, help! The 9 people who were running away saw Wang Xian flying over and hurriedly shouted. However, when they saw that Wang Xian was alone, their expressions instantly turned ugly. What was the use of one person? Swoosh! Wang Xian ignored the 9 people who were escaping and brushed past them directly. Are you crazy? You actually dare to charge over? A girl widened her eyes and shouted loudly with a face full of shock. Go, let's run. The 9 heads didn't dare to turn back and continued to flee for their lives. Dragon's might. Wang Xian flew over and the dragon's might covered the area. In an instant, there were more than 20 piranhas with big mouths chasing after the 9 people. 15 of them immediately fell to the ground. The other 9 level 2 transcendents were trembling as well. Their eyes were filled with fear. Attack! Wang Xian's body shook as he ordered the level 1 transcendents directly. Coo 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 coo. Crack crack crack. The 9 level 2 extraordinary piranhas were caught off guard. 15 level 1 piranhas attacked them directly. Their huge mouths bit them directly. However, the huge difference in strength only caused some blood to flow out. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, Wang Xian's attack had arrived at this moment and trapped the 9 piranhas in an instant. This time Wang Xian did not devour them. Instead, he directly placed the corpses of the 9 piranhas at Transcendent Level 2 into his interspatial ring. Currently, he needed 1,000 dragon crystals to advance to Transcendent Level 3. Only by killing 500 piranhas at Transcendent Level 2 would he be able to advance. 500 piranhas was not a small number. After the assessment, he could consider coming here to grind his level. Let's continue. With my strength of level 5 transcendence, I can basically do whatever I want on the island. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. He flew up to 100 meters in the air and scanned his surroundings with the eye of the heavenly dragon. Kill kill kill. With the help of the eye of the heavenly dragon, it was much easier for Wang Xian to kill the piranhas after he had leveled up. Furthermore, the piranhas at level 1 transcendence were under his direct control. In just half a day, the number of big-mouthed piranhas that followed behind Wang Xian had reached more than 300. There were also more than 50 corpses that were at Transcendent Level 2. However, Wang Xian did not encounter any mermaids that were at Transcendent Level 3. Chapter 886. The Genius of Shanghai Town? Let's go. Night gradually descended. When the sky turned dark, it would be much more dangerous. Wang Xian landed in an empty space with a satisfied expression. Around him, there were more than 300 level 1 big-mouthed piranhas guarding him. These piranhas could not leave a range of 2,000 meters from Wang Xian. Once they exceeded this range, they would immediately escape. Without any intelligence, it would be difficult to subdue them. Wang Xian was not interested in subjugating them either. The sounds of Long Yi and the rest fighting. Wang Xian, who was living comfortably with the jade glue, suddenly raised his head and looked ahead. He stood up slowly with a smile on his face. Troublesome. I was thinking of dealing with all of you tomorrow. Wang Xian stood up slowly. With a wave of his arm, he killed all the big-mouthed piranhas and kept them into his interspatial ring. These piranhas were used to nurture the members of the Dragon Palace. With a leap, the night of the ocean turned dark. Dark clouds blocked the bright moon in the sky. The sounds of the battle were very loud. They were at least 7 to 8 kilometers away from Wang Xian. I didn't expect you guys to be so strong. It seems like we have underestimated you guys. However, you guys must die no matter what. And that damn young man. Just as Wang Xian approached, a cold female voice was heard. Haha, you want to kill us? Wishful thinking. When our leader arrives, all of you will have to die. Do you think you can kill us? Wishful thinking. A rough voice was heard, and his tone was filled with disdain. How dare you spout such arrogant words? Pay attention, they are very strong. The sounds of battle could be heard. Wang Xian looked at the location of the battle and slowly descended from the sky. In front of him, a bonfire lit up the entire area. 8 draconids were fighting against Ao Shui, Bei Ming, and Qingfeng, the geniuses of Shanghai Town. The 8 of them were not at a disadvantage against the 9 of them. In fact, if it were not for the formation treasure in their hands, they might have already lost. At this moment, Ao Shui, Bei Ming, and Qingfeng looked extremely embarrassed as they attacked with murderous eyes. Is there someone fighting? That voice just now seemed to be Ao Shui. It's them. When Wang Xian arrived, 2 small teams rushed over from the surroundings. At night, other than the sound of the waves, there was also the sound of their battle. It was very eye-catching. When Wang Xian and the rest arrived, Two small teams had already rushed over. There were also people flying over one after another. Wang Xian landed at the edge and looked at the field. With the current strength of the Draconids, they couldn't do anything about it. It's Ao Shui and Bei Ming. That's true. They actually fought with those 8 people to a standstill. Who are these people? Their strength is so strong. At this moment, the examinees also surrounded them, their faces full of shock as they looked at the battle's location. Ao Shui, Bei Ming, and Qing Feng were the geniuses of Holy Sea Town, possessing the strength of second-level transcendence at such a young age. The rest who followed beside them were all elite disciples nurtured by the Dogfish mercenary group, Bei Ming and Qing Feng's family. However, they were actually on par with this group of complete strangers. I really didn't expect that our Holy Sea Town would have so many young talents hidden. A young man who acted alone walked over and looked at the group of Draconids with his eyes flashing. There were more than 100,000 people who had reached the extraordinary realm in Holy Sea Town. Among these 100,000 people, 90% of them were at the first level of the extraordinary realm. Now that the 8 Draconids were at the peak of the second level of the Transcendence realm, they were considered good fighters. Most importantly, they were still very young. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were young and talented. Zhao Zhixiong, come and help us. Kill them, and we will give you enough benefits. At this moment, Bei Ming, who was fighting, suddenly turned his head and roared in a direction. There, a red-haired young man was holding a staff in his hand and looking forward. Beside him, 5 youths stood behind him expressionlessly. Oh, benefits? If you give me 20 piranha jades, I can consider taking action. The youth named Zhao Zhixiong said to Bei Ming with a smile on his face. Fusuke, why don't you fucking snatch it? Bei Ming roared loudly as the long sword in his hand blocked the Draconid's attack, and his expression changed. 5,000 middle-grade spirit stones. Ao Shui shouted, is there anyone who can help us? If you help us, we'll be friends in the future. 5,000 middle-grade spirit stones. The surrounding people were moved. Haha, we want to be friends with Ao Shui. Zhao Zhixiong narrowed his eyes and immediately laughed. Including us, you dare to offend the geniuses of our Holy Sea Town? You're simply courting death. After Zhao Zhixiong finished speaking, the 7 to 8 young men beside him exchanged glances and said loudly, all right, help us kill them. We will definitely not mistreat you. A hint of coldness flashed in the eyes of Ao Shui, and the other two as they said coldly, haha, all right. The group of people did not hesitate and replied loudly, everyone, are you courting death by attacking my people? Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly and said coldly when he saw more than a dozen of them preparing to attack. Wang Xian's voice stunned everyone. Leader. The group of Draconids were delighted when they saw Wang Xian and shouted hurriedly. It's you, kid. Zhao Zhixiong, cripple him first and leave him alive. I'll kill him myself later. Ao Shui revealed an excited expression when she saw Wang Xian. All right, let's kill this brat first. Zhao Zhihai and the other team turned their heads with a smile. Their faces slowly turned ferocious as they looked at Wang Xian. We have no enmity between us. If you dare to make a move, you will have to bear some consequences. Wang Xian looked at them expressionlessly. Haha, price? We would like to see what kind of price is there? A group of over 10 people stared at Wang Xian with ferocious expressions as they walked towards him slowly. Hurry up and cripple that brat. Bei Ming endured the attack of a Draconid. His face turned slightly pale as he shouted loudly. All right, Master Bei Ming, don't be anxious. Zhao Zhixiong chuckled as he stared at Wang Xian. Cripple his limbs. This bunch of people are really unlucky. That's right. A bunch of small fries actually dared to provoke Ao Shui and Bei Ming. They are simply courting death. This bunch of people are not weak. It's good that they are dead. There are fewer competitors. At this moment, 40 to 50 people gathered around. When they saw Zhao Zhixiong and the rest, they said with a smile on their faces, cripple my limbs. Die. When Wang Xian heard their words, a hint of killing intent flashed across his eyes. He moved his body for a moment. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, seaweed plants within a radius of 1,000 meters grew crazily and attacked them densely. Chapter 887. The Genius of Shanghai Town. You still dare to resist. The moment Wang Xian launched his attack, the faces of Zhao Zhixiong and the rest darkened instantly. He immediately raised the staff in his hand, and a blazing fireball instantly lit up the surroundings. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, the moment the flames on his staff rose, terrifying thorns rose up from the ground in the entire space and attacked the dozen of them. What? Be careful. He's very strong. Zhao Zhixiong's companions and the other group of people beside him quickly warned him. However, it was useless. The terrifying thorns drilled out from the rocks and surrounded them. Fiery explosion. Zhao Zhixiong's expression changed slightly. The fireball in his hand emitted a hot light and exploded in the sky. It directly exploded the layers of thorns. However, there were too many thorns and seaweed, and it directly covered all of them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The hurried sound seemed to be whipping the surrounding air. Countless thorns and seaweed weaved into a death domain. Ah! A young man's body was directly pierced through by the thorns, and he let out a miserable cry. Even one of the earth element cultivators was pierced through by the seagrass and killed. The seagrass was twitching slowly. The hardness of the seagrass was beyond their imagination. He is definitely not at the second level of transcendence. Zhao Zhixiong looked at the seagrass that was surrounding him and shouted in fear. Whoosh! However, just as he finished his sentence, a hard wooden thorn emerged from his back and pierced through his body. Brutal slaughter. There were a total of 2 teams. 12 people at level 2 of Transcendence wanted to surround and kill Wang Xian, but they were instantly killed. This was definitely not something that level 2 of Transcendence could do. What? When Ao Shui, Qing Feng and Bei Ming saw the screams coming from this side, they widened their eyes in disbelief. At least level 3 of Transcendence. The expressions of those who were watching from the side changed drastically. They stared at Wang Xian in shock with their eyes wide open. The seaweed and thorns were withdrawn quickly, leaving behind more than a dozen corpses. A bunch of trash. Wang Xian glanced at them with disdain. He turned his head and looked at Ao Shui, Bei Ming and the rest slowly. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Run! Bei Ming's eyes were about to split open. His eyes were filled with horror as he roared loudly. He slashed forward heavily and escaped into the distance. You want to escape? Have you asked us? The 8 draconids let out a beast roar and their arms exploded one by one. They transformed into terrifying dragon claws and attacked Ao Shui and the rest. Scram! This made Ao Shui, Bei Ming and Qing Feng extremely embarrassed. They let out a loud roar. Whoosh! 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 However, at this moment, the seaweed around them started to move crazily and covered them directly. Wood thorns. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly and earth thorns drilled out from the ground. The thorns were like terrifying tree demons as they darted towards them. Get lost. Ao Shui widened her eyes. Her eyes were bloodshot. She slashed the long sword in her hand and tens of thousands of metallic lights filled the entire space. The thorns in the sky were instantly cut off. Pa 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 pa. However, at this moment, under the cover of her feet, numerous thorns were directly tied to her legs, quickly wrapping around her. Ah, you dare? If you dare to kill me, my father will not let you off. Save us, quick, save us. In the future, we will pay a huge sum of money to thank you. Bei Ming was also entangled by the violent brambles. He shouted out loud with a terrified expression. The expressions of the people who were watching changed slightly. They looked at Ao Shui and the rest who were being suppressed and pursed their lips. Brother, Ao Shui's father is the daughter of the deputy leader of the Golden One-Star Horn Shark Mercenary Group. Bei Ming is the young master of the Bei family of Shanghai Town. Qingfeng's father is an extraordinary level 5 powerhouse. You'd better. Poochie. Beside him a four-man team. The young man standing at the front frowned and warned Wang Xian. However, before he could finish his sentence, his head rolled on the ground. A flash of light flashed by. Speak after you've thought it through. Wang Xian turned his head and glanced at the corpse on the ground coldly. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly retreated. They were afraid of being killed directly. Those young men who relied on their own strength and acted alone had a slight change in expression. Their pupils couldn't help but shrink. They actually didn't discover how the other party died just now. Ah! On the other side, miserable screams could be heard. Within Ao Shue's team, the 6 young men were killed one after another. Ao Shue, Bei Ming and Qing Feng were tied up by thorns. Their bodies were covered in bloody scars. Their faces were filled with fear. So this is the genius of Shanghai town? You want to kill me? Wang Xian stared at the 3 people who were trapped by the thorns, and a mocking expression appeared on his face. Please don't kill us. Ao Shue's face was ghastly pale, and her body was trembling. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Please don't kill me. You brought this upon yourself. How dare a genius like you talk about killing me? Wang Xian snorted coldly and clenched his fist slightly. Ah! The thorny vines contracted and screams of pain could be heard. He actually dared to kill Ao Shue and the other 2. Hiss, aren't they afraid of the revenge of the Horned Shark mercenary group and the Bei family? The expressions of the people around them changed drastically as they looked at Wang Xian and the rest with fear. Ao Shue and the rest were almost 100% able to enter the Demon Hunters Academy. However, they did not expect to be killed directly. Furthermore, the other party was so unscrupulous. Put away their corpses. Wang Xian said coldly to the group of draconids. It's the Dragon King. They put away the corpses one by one and looked at the items in their interspatial rings. Scram! Wang Xian glanced at the people around him and shouted softly. Everyone's expression changed slightly as they walked out hurriedly. Dragon King, we have already killed more than 30 piranhas. There were a total of 50 piranhas in the interspatial rings of those people just now. A draconid walked over and said to Wang Xian, all of you can take it. Wang Xian nodded and sat beside the bonfire. At this moment, the news of Ao Shue, Bei Ming, and Qing Feng being killed spread rapidly on the Mermaid Island. When the other examinees heard the news, their faces were filled with shock. They were actually killed by someone. Their team strength was definitely one of the best in the entire assessment team. They didn't expect to be killed directly. Furthermore, they were killed by a group of youths wearing bronze 1-star mercenary groups. That 1-star bronze mercenary group was not to be trifled with. After encountering them, they had to escape immediately. They even dared to kill Ao Shue and the others who had a deep background. A youth who wanted to threaten them was even beheaded. Such a vicious person was not someone they could provoke. Chapter 888 was disdainful. The next morning before dawn broke, the Mermaid Island was filled with noise. After Wang Xian cultivated for a while at night, he continued to kill the piranhas. With the eye of the heavenly dragon, there was no difference between night and day. He wanted to accumulate sufficient resources for the members of the Dragon Palace to increase their strength. Run! There's an extraordinary level 3 piranha over there. On the second day, exclamations could be heard from the Mermaid Island from time to time. On the second day, everyone didn't have much time left. In order to complete the mission, they had to take more risks. This made the battle today much more tragic than yesterday. Many examinees died tragically in the mouths of the piranha. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure flashed past a group of people who were running away with the sound of wind. The expressions of those people changed slightly. It's that youth. It's him who killed Ao Shue and the rest last night. His strength is definitely not below Transcendent level rank 3. Is he planning to hunt down that Transcendent level rank 3 piranha? Exclamations came from the mouths of the few of them. They stopped and hesitated for a moment before looking back. Leave this place. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences. At this moment, a warning voice came from the side. They raised their heads and saw 8 young men staring at them coldly. They are too overbearing. Let's go. Let's go. They are not people we can provoke. Everyone's expression changed slightly as they left this place hurriedly. When Wuxia was hunting, he could not let the people around him watch. This way they would realize that he could transform into a divine dragon and it would be disadvantageous to him. After killing the extraordinary level 3 piranha within 3 moves, Wuxia continued to rush to the next place. In front of us is the central circle of the Mermaid Island. There are even more powerful piranhas with big mouths there. The piranhas around Wuxia were suspended in the air as he looked towards the center. In the center, the area within a 5-kilometer radius was filled with seawater. This was the center of the Mermaid Island. Wuxia's eyes sparkled. He could see many huge mermaids lying on the shore. There are at least 10 of them who are at Transcendent Level 5. There might be even higher ones. Wuxia took a deep breath. This was not a place that he could deal with. He could only change his direction and hunt at other locations. There was no need for him to take the risk now. He had already collected the items for the assessment. He was now collecting resources for the members of the Dragon Palace. 2 days passed very quickly. Wuxia looked at the time and immediately flew towards the ship. Behind him, a group of draconids followed behind. This time, he obtained a total of 600 corpses of extraordinary level 1 creatures. He obtained a total of 85 corpses of extraordinary level 2 creatures. 14 corpses of extraordinary level 3 creatures. If he devoured all of them, he would be able to increase it by more than 400 dragon crystals. However, for the sake of development, Wuxia kept all of them. He looked at the ship. 5 middle-aged men were floating in the air, waiting for their return. At this moment, there were already people who had returned on the ship. Some of them were filled with excitement while others were frowning. When Wuxia and the rest landed on the ship, everyone glanced at them intentionally or unintentionally. Their eyes were filled with respect. Soon more and more people arrived. When the stipulated time was up, there were already more than 1,000 people on the ship. The other few hundred people either didn't make it in time or were already dead. More than half of the people immediately walked over and placed the jade gels in front in exchange for an admission permit. This admission permit required the person to verify it. It would leave an image and no one else could pass it off. Below, for every jade glue that exceeds 1, you will receive an additional academy point. Transcendent Level 2 jade glue, 10 points. Transcendent Level 3 jade glue, 100 points. Send them over one by one. The middle-aged man saw that there were still more than 10 people who did not hand in their jade glue and continued speaking. Teacher, I have 6, and I have a Transcendent Level 2 jade glue. I have 7, and I have 2 Transcendent Level 2 jade glue. One by one, the young men walked over arrogantly as they spoke confidently. They were all the leaders of their respective teams. That's right. The middle-aged man who had a cold expression on his face revealed a faint smile. Haha, you guys are really trash. So many people only managed to obtain so little. Looks like I have the most. A young man laughed loudly as he walked forward and took out one jade glue after another from his interspatial ring. It's Qilian. Qilian is very strong. I wonder how many he has obtained from this solo mission. Definitely not less than 10. The surrounding youths looked at the long-haired young man enviously. 1 to 11, 11 Transcendent Level Rank 1 Jade Glue. Also, there are actually 3 Transcendent Level Rank 2 Jade Glue. He killed 3 piranhas of the same level in 2 days. Awesome! As expected of Qilian. The crowd exclaimed in shock. Even the teacher was a little surprised, and his eyes were filled with admiration. For a young man to be able to kill 2 vicious beasts of the same level in 2 days, it was already very impressive. One had to know that the fighting strength of vicious beasts was not weaker than humans of the same level at all. In fact, they were even slightly stronger. Killing 3 humans of the same level in 2 days at such a young age was considered not bad. Haha. I said that I should be the one who killed the most this time. Qilian heard the surrounding people and laughed arrogantly. Ha, Qilian, don't be happy too early. At this moment, a young man walked over and placed 5 transcendent level rank 2 jade glue in front of his teacher with a smile. Do one, what's so great about it? Qilian's expression changed when he looked over and he said with a dark expression. Nothing much. It's just 5 transcendent tier 2 jade gels. The young man called Duwan had a short stature and was rather delicate and pretty. However, at this moment he said with a proud smile. He was showing off his sharp edge. His amazing. Each one is stronger than the other. Duwan and Qilian are both well-known heaven's favorite sons in our holy sea town. They were able to kill so many ferocious beasts of the same level. Their abilities must be extraordinary. Brother Du, you are really impressive. The surrounding young men were full of admiration. A few of them immediately flattered them. When Wang Xian saw their arrogant looks, he shook his head in disdain. A piece of jade glue. He walked over and placed a piece of jade glue on the table. The corpses of piranhas were all resources. He would not take out too much jade glue. One was enough. It would be a waste to have too much. What? You came up with a piece of jade glue? No, it's him. Fuck. It's the jade glue of an extraordinary level 3 piranha. Chapter 889. Whoever kills my daughter will die. A shocked voice was heard. A piece of jade glue, just a piece of jade glue. When the crowd saw Wang Xian casually handing over a piece of jade glue, a young man almost burst out in ridicule. However, when he saw his face and the piece of jade glue on the table that was 4 to 5 times bigger than the level 1 jade glue, he could not help but let out a cry of surprise. Hiss, the jade glue of an extraordinary level 3 piranha. It's him. The young man who killed Ao Shui, Bei Ming, and Qing Feng has at least the strength of a level 3 extraordinary. He should have killed more than one level 3 extraordinary piranha. Back then we were chased by more than a dozen piranhas. In the end he rushed over and killed the piranha. His 8 subordinates are also very strong. If they were placed in our hands they would definitely be among the top experts. The only ones who could fight against them are Qilian and the others. When the people around saw Wang Xian, they were all shocked and discussed in low voices. Wang Xian and the rest were definitely dark horses among them. They had killed Ao Shui and the other 3 geniuses from Shanghai town. In this assessment, more than 20 people had died at his hands. Their strength was unfathomable. Jade glue of extraordinary level 3. The middle-aged man who was standing at the front was slightly stunned. A glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. He stared at Wang Xian with a burning gaze and said, Good, good. I didn't expect to meet a heaven's favorite in Shanghai town. Not bad. Here you go. This is the admission notice. There are 100 points on it. Very good. Among this batch of students you are among the top. The 4 middle-aged men at the side looked at each other and said with smiles on their faces, Thank you for your praise, mentor. Wang Xian nodded his head faintly and took the admission notice. Wang Xian was completely unperturbed by the astonishment of the people around him. How could a transcendent level 3 jade glue be so excited? If he were to take out all the piranha corpses, wouldn't he be so scared that he would pee his pants? As for his mentor's praise, he didn't take it to heart. If a transcendent level 5 mentor were to fight with him now, it was uncertain who would win or lose. Wang Xian retreated to the side and looked at the admission notice in his hand indifferently. How arrogant! How handsome! The eyes of some girls on the ship lit up when they saw Wang Xian's cold and arrogant look. He had a perfect figure, a determined gaze, a handsome face, and a powerful strength. He was also a heaven's favorite. He was completely the Prince Charming in everyone's hearts. On the transcendent continent, anyone under the age of 40 could be considered a genius if their strength was at the peak of level 2. Anyone who reached level 3 could be called a heaven's favorite. As for level 4, they could be called a peerless genius. Level 5, they could be called a peerless heaven's favorite. As for those who were even higher, they could only be described as monsters. Such monsters would definitely be the most dazzling existence in the empire. After killing Ao Shui, Bei Ming and Qing Feng, just wait for your death. Not to mention anything else, the Horned Shark mercenary group will definitely not let him off. A fallen heaven's pride cannot be called a heaven's pride. At this moment, Qi Lian and Du Wan, who were standing at the side, had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. They had originally thought that they would be able to rank first in Holy Sea Town this time. However, they had not expected that they would be directly crushed by this fellow who had appeared out of nowhere. Being crushed by a guy who had no blind spots made them feel a little embarrassed. The title of first place in Holy Sea Town's assessment results would be very beneficial to the establishment of a mercenary group and a team to recruit experts in the future. Qi Lian and Du Wan's voices weren't soft, and everyone around them could hear them clearly. The group of young men were slightly stunned, and then they slowly frowned. Ao Shui's team this time has many members trained by the Dogfish mercenary group. He might really be in big trouble. Ao Shui's father is the vice leader of the Squalid Shark mercenary group. He's an extraordinary level 5 powerhouse. It's impossible for him not to take revenge for his daughter's death. Then this young man is in big trouble. No matter how much of a heaven's favorite he is, he would be killed even if he provoked a 1-star gold mercenary group. The surrounding people thought of the background of Ao Shui, and the rest and discussed in low voices. Their eyes would occasionally glance at Wang Xian. When the 5 middle-aged instructors heard the discussion around them, they looked at each other and shook their heads slowly. They had actually angered a 1-star gold mercenary group. What a pity for such a good student. The demon hunting mercenary group was neither a military academy nor an aristocratic academy. The demon hunting academies were established by the various kingdoms and empires for the purpose of eliminating demonic beasts and ferocious beasts. Even if they were to enter the academy, they would study and cultivate while accepting missions to hunt and kill demonic beasts and ferocious beasts. Therefore, the management was very lax and they would not get involved in the students' grudges. In every city, it was forbidden to fight outside the arena. As for leaving the city, it was not up to the countries to care whether they were dead or alive. An outstanding student had offended a powerful mercenary group, and the academy would not say anything even if he was killed. This world was extremely cruel. The people on the ship were discussing in low voices. Some of the young men who wanted to curry favor with Wang Xian immediately dismissed this idea. Qi Lian and Du Wan stood at the side with a cold smile. They exuded an arrogant aura. Dogfish mercenary group. When Wang Xian heard the conversation around him, a thoughtful look appeared on his face. The ship arrived at the shore very quickly. 5 middle-aged men brought them to Shanghai town. Did my child pass the assessment? Son, did he pass? Daughter, how is it? The moment they entered the city, there were already 7,000 to 8,000 people gathered at the entrance. Seeing them arrive, some of the young men's parents shouted loudly. Where are Ao Shui and the others? In the center of the city gate, there were more than 20 people from the Dogfish mercenary group. A middle-aged man with an axe in his hand and a middle-aged man dressed like a noble stood there. Everyone looked at the group of young men who flew over. Soon they frowned as they had a bad feeling. Ao Shui. In the center of the Squalid Shark mercenary group, a burly middle-aged man dressed in armor shouted loudly. An unbridled voice rang out at the city gate, drowning out all other voices. This caused everyone to be slightly displeased. However, when they saw his identity, they immediately shut their mouths and restrained the impatience on their faces. The loud voice didn't receive any response. The young men who were taking the assessment looked at Wang Xian and the rest who were walking behind them. The burly middle-aged man was slightly taken aback. His face slowly sank. The luxurious middle-aged man and the middle-aged man who was holding an axe glanced at the crowd. Their brows twitched violently. Bei Ming. Qing Feng. A somewhat anxious voice sounded, but there was still no response. Uncle Ao, Miss Ao Shui and Bei Ming Qing Feng have already been killed. At this moment, at the front of the group of young examinees, Qi Lian's lips curled into a cold smile as he spoke directly. What? Killed? Who dares to kill my Ao Kuang's daughter? The middle-aged man in the middle of the Horned Shark mercenary group's expression changed drastically, and a violent killing intent instantly surged from his body as he shouted loudly. Chapter 890 Assassination. The aura of a rank 5 transcendent exploded out instantly, and a terrifying icy-cold killing intent filled the sky above the east gate of St. C Town. In an instant the expressions of everyone around changed drastically, and those who were weaker turned pale. Vice Commander Dogfish, this is the city. Pay attention. An old man on the city wall shouted coldly and warned the middle-aged man. Who? The vice captain took a deep breath. His eyes were wide open like copper bells as he retracted his aura. However, the murderous aura accumulated from years of battle still made everyone tremble in fear. Who killed them? The vice captain stared at Qi Lian coldly as his eyes slowly turned bloodshot. The middle-aged man and the middle-aged man with a huge axe stepped forward as well, their eyes flashing with a fierce light. Uncle Ao, the other two uncles, Ao Shui and the rest were killed. Everyone who participated in the assessment knows about it. Qi Lian saw the terrifying murderous aura and gulped before he spoke hurriedly. After he finished speaking, the group of young men looked in the direction of Wang Xian and the rest once again, intentionally or unintentionally. It's you. What kind of people were vice leader of the Squalor Sharks and the rest? Their eyes were filled with murderous intent as they looked directly at Wang Xian and strode over. However, when he entered the assessment circle, a middle-aged man stood in front of him coldly. Don't be impudent in front of our Demon Hunters Academy. A middle-aged instructor of the Demon Hunters Academy said coldly. Vice captain of the squad and the other two middle-aged men's expressions changed drastically. Kid, did you kill my daughter? The vice captain of the squad shouted at Wang Xian coldly. They deserved to die. Wang Xian didn't show any signs of weakness as he stared at them and replied coldly. Good. How dare you kill Ao Kuang's daughter? Kid, I'm telling you you're dead for sure. I'm going to kill all of your family members too. The vice captain of the squad roared furiously with his eyes wide open. I'll cut you into pieces and make you wish you were dead. The middle-aged man who was holding a huge axe pointed at Wang Xian and roared with murderous intent in his eyes. The luxurious middle-aged man was the same. A cold murderous aura gathered around him. No fighting is allowed in the Holy See Town. If not, you will be executed immediately. An old man led a team of guards and walked over to the guards of the Holy See Town and said slowly, Don't worry, Master Qing. We won't fight in St. C Town. The luxurious middle-aged man turned his head and said expressionlessly, Well, as long as it's not in the city, you can do whatever you want. The old man nodded lightly. The admission notice has a date on it. Don't miss it. The 5 middle-aged men from the Demon Hunters Academy coldly glanced at the middle-aged men and said to the students who had passed the exam, It's the instructor. The students nodded and walked towards their parents' seats. Wang Xian glanced at the 3 vice leaders of the Horned Shark team and walked straight in. Kid, just wait for your death. Within 3 days I will definitely take your dog life. A voice filled with murderous intent sounded from behind, causing Wang Xian to pause. In this assessment, that young man's results are the best. He killed an extraordinary level 3 piranha. Even the instructor praised him as a genius. This kid is going to be finished. Once he leaves St. C Town, he will definitely be killed by the vice squad leader of Horned Shark. So what if he's first? Isn't he going to be killed soon? He's really courting death. This young man actually got first place? But first place is useless to dead people. Some of the surrounding young men saw this situation and gloated. Very soon, the news spread quickly in Holy See Town. The first place in the Demon Hunters Academy's assessment had killed Ao Shui, Bei Ming and Qing Feng. The vice leader of the Horned Shark mercenary group swore to take revenge. As the news spread, everyone was stunned and started discussing. Dragon King, the strength of the Horned Shark mercenary group is very strong. The leader is an expert at Transcendent Level 6. The vice leader of the Horn Shark mercenary group was also at Transcendent Level 5. It will be dangerous for us to leave the city in the future. At this moment, the Draconid walked to Wang Xian's side and said with a face full of worry, "I know." Wang Xian nodded his head. "Let's make a trip to the Demon Hunters mercenary group." The Squawk Shark mercenary group was very strong. The other two middle-aged men were also very strong. In the eyes of many people, Wang Xian was almost certain to die. However, fighting was prohibited in the city. The Demon Hunters Academy would only officially begin in a month. However, Wang Xian could head to Donghai City at any time. As long as he didn't get discovered after leaving, it was fine. He could still leave Shanghai town quietly. Therefore, he wasn't worried at all. When he arrived at the Demon Hunters mercenary group, Wang Xian went straight to the front of the service desk. "How may I help you?" the waiter asked directly. "Hand in the mission." Wang Xian replied directly. "What mission? Please take out the mission items." The waiter replied directly. "The mission to hunt the big-mouthed piranha, 5 extraordinary level 2 jade gels, and a 4-star bronze mission." Wang Xian took out an interspatial ring and handed it over. "Congratulations to the Fairy Phoenix mercenary group for completing the 4-star bronze mission. All of you can upgrade directly to 2-star bronze. We can help you change the level of your badges for free. This is the reward item," the waiter said with a smile on his face. "Okay." Wang Xian nodded and took the reward item. Fox Flame Pill. Extraordinary Level 2. Extractable Dragon Energy. 11 Dragon Crystals. It's more cost-effective than swallowing it directly. Wang Xian smiled and swallowed it directly. Then he walked out. Bam! However, just as Wang Xian turned around, a figure crashed into him. "Kid, do you even know how to walk?" A cold voice was heard. Wang Xian frowned slightly and looked at the person in front of him. Out of the 4 of them, the person who bumped into him was a middle-aged man. "What are you looking at? Are you unconvinced? If you're unconvinced, let's have a match in the arena, you little bastard." The middle-aged man stared at Wang Xian with a mocking gaze and said coldly, "What's going on?" "It's Wu Dazhuang." "Who's that young man? What bad luck." "He's a level 2 bronze mercenary group. Wu Dazhuang is the captain of the Squalid Shark mercenary group." TSK, we're watching a show." Wang Xian heard the discussions around him. He raised his eyebrows and glanced at the mercenary badge on his chest. "Get out of the way," he said coldly. "No way, you little bastard. You even dared to kill the daughter of our vice-captain. I think you want to die." Wu Dazhuang grinned and said in a sinister tone, I've already killed you. What can you do to me?" The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. "Haha, what can you do? I'm standing right here. If you see me, you have to go around. As long as you dare to leave the city, you will die." Wu Dazhuang smiled sinisterly and stared at Wang Xian with burning eyes. Chapter 891 was assassinated. So it was him who killed the daughter of the vice-commander of the Horn Shark Academy, the son of Bei Qianjun and Qing Gaia. He looks a little unfamiliar. I heard that he was the strongest student in the Demon Hunter Academy's assessment this time. A prodigy. A prodigy is like a crucian carp crossing the river. He hasn't grown up and is no different from an ordinary person. This young man is simply courting death. No wonder Wu Dazhuang would deliberately find fault with us. In the future, even if this kid doesn't leave the Holy Sea town, he will still be very sullen. He killed the children of vice leader of the Dogfish Squad. Even if he is in the Holy Sea town, he might not be safe. The sounds of discussion rang out in the demon hunting mercenary group. All the mercenaries watched this scene with smiles on their faces. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled as he stared at Wu Dazhuang. A hint of killing intent flashed in his eyes. "What's wrong, you little bastard? You want to kill me? See you in the arena?" Wu Dazhuang raised his head and looked at him with his nostrils. he said mockingly. Wang Xian was silent for a moment. He moved away from Wu Dezhuang and left directly from the side. Haha, coward. You little bastard. Just wait for your death. Are you scared? Today is just the beginning. Wu Dezhuang laughed out loud when he saw Wang Xian leaving. He stared at his figure with a twinkle in his eyes and said loudly. Wang Xian didn't say anything and walked out directly. Humph. Wu Dezhuang saw that Wang Xian was ignoring him. He snorted coldly and walked towards the service counter. The mercenaries in the hall of the Demon Hunters mercenary group looked at Wang Xian, and the rest leaving curiously. Their eyes were filled with mockery as they shook their heads slightly. Dragon King, we'd better leave Shanghai town as soon as possible. Otherwise, there might be other troubles. Long Yi frowned and said to Wang Xian. He nodded his head slowly and felt a little helpless. After returning to the restaurant he rented, Wang Xian took out the mission stone plate and checked the missions on it. I can only check the missions around Shanghai town? It's a pity that I can't see the missions in Donghai town. Wang Xian frowned slightly. He had provoked a few powerful forces in Donghai town, making it difficult for them to advance here. He could only change to another place. Otherwise, it would affect his development. The sun gradually set. The entire Shanghai town was unusually lively. It was late at night before the surroundings quieted down. Wang Xian was sitting cross-legged in his room and cultivating. The situation was critical now, so he had no choice but to make use of every minute and every second to cultivate. After an unknown period of time, the surrounding space seemed to have quieted down. There was no sound at all. At this moment, a figure came in through the gap like a stream of water. Slowly, the stream of water turned into a black shadow. The black shadow looked at Wang Xian, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed. His eyes were calm and unperturbed. A dagger appeared in his hand, flickering with a dark glow. Step by step he approached Wang Xian silently. He did not reveal the slightest killing intent. However, what the black shadow did not notice was that in a corner of the room, a light spot flashed past. The black shadow came to the side of Wang Xian's bed. His face revealed a hint of malevolence as he stabbed the dagger in his hand directly at Wang Xian. Oh! The sound of the dagger piercing through flesh and blood rang out. Wang Xian opened his eyes indifferently and looked at the black shadow, who was staring at him in disbelief. A claw pierced through his chest from his back and a sickle-like arm cut through his throat, rendering him unable to make any sound. Assassin! Wang Xian spat out two words slowly. He had sensed it when the black figure entered. His strange supernatural ability and powerful concealment proved that he was an assassin. Although fighting was prohibited in the city, the profession of an assassin could be active in the city. Killing with a single strike would allow one to travel thousands of miles. Let's go and see if there's anyone monitoring this place. Wang Xian's eyes were cold and filled with frost as he said, "It's the Dragon King." Ao Yao's voice rang out and disappeared from the room quickly. He actually sent an assassin here to kill me directly. Good. Wang Xian's eyes were extremely cold. He originally planned to leave this place for the next 2 days and not fight with them. However, a middle-aged man was looking for trouble in public during the day, and an assassin came to assassinate him at night. He really thought that he was easy to bully. Assassin! Wang Xian mumbled as he stared at the corpse in front of him. His eyes were sparkling. Soul catcher. A soul entered his eyes directly and devoured it. Devouring a soul would consume the memories within the soul. It would take a long time and a lot of time. Under normal circumstances, Wang Xian didn't want to perform soul catcher. However, this assassin gave Wang Xian a bold idea. Undercurrent Assassin Organization. The largest assassin organization in Star Moon Kingdom. Wang Xian closed his eyes and kept looking at the information one by one. As he was filled with a huge amount of memories, beads of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Phew, so this is the assassin organization. Wang Xian opened his eyes sparkled. It costs 10,000 middle-grade spiritual stones to assassinate me. It's not cheap. 10,000 middle-grade spiritual stones is equivalent to a transcendent 4th-grade elixir. This is also because of the information they obtained. I'm only at transcendent 3rd grade. This undercurrent assassin organization is really secretive. They can accept missions with an item similar to a mission stone plate. They are active in the dark. Even the dynasty can't do anything to them. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. Dragon King, there are 2 people nearby who are monitoring us. They are not strong. Aoyao returned to his room and reported to Wang Xian. Kill them and we will leave the city. Wang Xian said directly. It's the Dragon King. Aoyao nodded and his figure disappeared immediately. With Aoyao's current strength, there was a 70% success rate in assassinating a level 4 transcendent. For those below level 4, it was almost a 100% success rate. His current cultivation had also reached level 2 transcendent. Assassinating a level 2 transcendent was a piece of cake. Let's go. Very soon, Aoyao finished off the 2 people who were monitoring them. Wang Xian had an idea. He called a group of draconids and immediately headed out of the city. It was late at night and the surroundings were extremely quiet. However, there were still people walking around. Wang Xian and the rest successfully left the city. Let's return to the Earth's Dragon Palace and bring a group of members of the Dragon Palace over. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he quickly flew towards the entrance of the Dragon Palace. The growth of the strength of the draconids was too slow. He couldn't use his dragon energy to strengthen them directly, so he could only call the members of the Dragon Palace over. There wasn't a need for too many. 10 golden swordfish would do. However, he had to bring more members of the strange demon clan over this time. In advance, he had to cultivate some light thorn dragon species. Since it wasn't safe in the city and the assassins could move around, he had to establish an assassin organization. With the strange demon clan as the assassins, the rest of the draconids would develop information personnel. He would establish a terrifying assassin organization that could intimidate the entire continent. In the future, even the draconids of this world would dare to assassinate and take all the heads. Chapter 892. Established. Dragon Assassin Organization. It was very dangerous outside the city in the dark of the supernatural continent. Wang Xian asked the group of draconids to find a safe place to hide on the Mermaid Island. He and Aoyao flew carefully toward the location of the passageway between Earth and the supernatural continent. Wang Xian arrived at the bottom of the sea smoothly with the eye of the heavenly dragon and entered the Dragon Palace directly. Wang Xian's arrival surprised the members of the Dragon Palace. When he found out that Guan Shuqing and the rest were cultivating in seclusion, he did not disturb them. Call the 10 strongest members of the Aojian Golden Tribe over. Also, call the 20 strongest deviant demons over. Wang Xian ordered Prime Minister Gui directly. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui quickly instructed. Wang Xian came to the dragon pool. The corpses in his interspatial ring were thrown aside and were quickly absorbed. Walala! 9 divine dragons coiled around the dragon pillars. Thick dragon blood flowed out from their mouths. There were more than 600 level 1 transcendent corpses. There were about 100 level 2 transcendent corpses. There were 14 level 3 transcendent corpses. 1 level 4 transcendent corpse. The last level 4 transcendent corpse belonged to the assassin. The dragon holes formed by the corpses of experts were not measured by size, but by quality. With so many corpses, the amount of dragon blood in the dragon pool increased rapidly. The quality of the dragon blood far exceeded that of the past. Basically, 2 level 1 transcendent corpses can allow a peak upper immortal member of the Dragon Palace to step into level 1 transcendent. However, the strength of level 1 is obviously not enough. They must have at least the strength of level 2, or even level 3 extraordinary. With so much dragon blood, they should be able to pile up 10 level 3 and 20 level 2 extraordinary individuals. Wang Xian calculated in his heart with an expressionless face. Dragon King. At this moment, a group of Dragon Palace members behind him came over and shouted respectfully. Enter and raise your cultivation base to at least Transcendent Level 2 before you come out. The lowest cultivation base of the group of members from the Dragon Palace was an upper-level immortal. Among the strange demons, there were 2 to 3 who had already entered the Transcendence realm. Currently, the combined strength of the strange demons was the strongest in the Dragon Palace. It's the Dragon King. All the golden swordfish and strange demons, including Ao Jian and Ao Yao, entered the dragon pool. The strange demons have been nurtured into the light-pricking dragon species. Wang Xian thought to himself immediately. In an instant, the dragons that were entrenched on the 9 pillars spat out resplendent dragon blood. It landed on the heads of the strange demons and slowly sank into the dragon pool. Why is it so fast this time? Just as Wang Xian was about to return to his bedroom to rest, he suddenly realized that the strange demons in the dragon pool were changing very quickly. The last time Ao Yao evolved into a light-pricking dragon, it took a total of 7 days. It must be because the quality of the dragon blood is higher this time. Wang Xian did not leave. He stood quietly beside the dragon pool, waiting for them to become stronger. Time passed slowly. 10 hours. In just 10 hours, the dragon blood in the dragon pool was completely depleted. One by one, powerful figures appeared in the dragon pool. Dragon King. Ao Yao and Ao Jian came directly to Wang Xian's side and greeted him respectfully. Very good. Wang Xian's eyes were sparkling. Transcendent Level 3. Both of them had reached Transcendent Level 3. Apart from them, 3 golden swordfish had reached Transcendent Level 3 while 7 strange demons had reached Transcendent Level 3. The rest were all at Transcendent Level Rank 2. With so many resources, Wang Xian was very satisfied that he was able to nurture 12 Transcendent Level Rank 3 and 20 Transcendent Level Rank 2. This is the strength of the Dragon Palace. As long as there are resources, they will be able to unleash unlimited explosive force. This is also the mother nest that the group of dragon gods obtained from the insect race back then. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with radiance. 12 Transcendent Level Rank 3 and 20 Transcendent Level Rank 2. This force was not strong. It was not strong even in Shanghai town. However, Wang Xian was not in a hurry. He used these 32 members of the Dragon Palace as the foundation to feed the Dragon Palace. Let's go back. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Without any hesitation, he led the group of members of the Dragon Palace to the Transcendence Continent. Now, Prime Minister Gui had already instructed Wen Chun to teach them the language of the Transcendence Continent and some basic things. Therefore, there was no problem for the group of members of the Dragon Palace to follow them. They arrived at the sea of the supernatural mainland through the passage and flew out of the seabed quickly. At this moment, after more than 10 hours, it was already daytime on the supernatural mainland. With a thought, he called the group of draconids on the Mermaid Island. Wang Xian and the rest quickly flew towards Holy Sea Town. Trash, you actually let him escape. You guys are really trash. However, at this moment, at the eastern entrance of Holy Sea Town, the vice commander of the Horned Shark mercenary group roared angrily at his subordinates. Vice Commander, Undercurrent has failed. Moreover, the people we were monitoring have also disappeared. This. Wu Dazhuang, who was standing beside the vice commander of the Horned Shark mercenary group, said with a worried expression. If we let them escape, how can we avenge my daughter? How can I, Ao Kuang, still have the face to stay in Holy Sea Town? Ao Kuang's face was filled with malevolence as he growled in a low and distorted voice. Bei Qianjun and Qinggai's faces were also gloomy, and they were almost bleeding. The murderer who killed their son had actually escaped. The pedestrians around the city gate were also slightly stunned when they heard their words. The murderer who killed their children has actually escaped. I really didn't expect that kid to be able to escape. He really has some ability. Keep your voice down. Right now, Vice Commander Shark and Bei Qianjuan's Qinggaya are in a rage. That kid is really lucky. Otherwise, he would have died if he had stayed in Holy Sea Town. If we leave the city now to look for that young man, we won't be able to find him. He's not that stupid. The surrounding people whispered amongst themselves. This matter had caused a huge commotion in Holy See Town and many people knew about it. However, the kid was able to escape today, which was out of everyone's expectations. Hey, that young man, that young man. At this moment, a middle-aged man selling goods suddenly opened his eyes wide, pointed at the entrance and shouted in disbelief. It's him, it's that young man. Why is he back? The surrounding people were slightly stunned and quickly looked at the entrance. Vice leader of the Dogfish clan and the rest who were walking out of the city froze when they saw the group of people who came in. Why did he come back after escaping? Is he courting death? An old man couldn't help but exclaim. At the city gate, Wuxia walked in with a smile on his face. Coincidentally, he met vice leader of the Dogfish clan and the rest. In an instant, the atmosphere around them froze. Wuxia brought the group of draconids and the members of the Dragon Palace to a stop slowly. He happened to be standing in front of the vice leader of the Dogfish clan, Bei Qianjun, Qinggaya, and the rest. Are you looking for me? Don't worry, I, Wuxia, will not run away from Shanghai town with my tail between my legs. If I want to leave, I will do so openly. Wuxia looked at them and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Chapter 893. Congratulations to death. I, Wuxia, don't run away from Shanghai town with my tail between my legs. If I want to leave, I have to do it openly. When Wuxia's voice rang out at the city gate, the people gathered around were slightly stunned. Then they took a deep breath. He had guts. He was not as strong as Wuxia, yet he dared to come back after escaping. Furthermore, he was so arrogant. It had to be said that this kid had guts. Wuxia. When the deputy leader of the Squawk Shark and the rest saw Wuxia's calm expression, they revealed a gloomy expression. However, they soon revealed a ferocious smile on their faces. Very good. Since you dare to come back, haha. Kid, you really have guts. Let me see how you will walk out of Shanghai town openly in the future. However, the deputy leader of the Dogfish tribe said as he stared at Wuxia ferociously. However, if you want to walk out of Shanghai town, you have to step over my corpse. I don't know if you have the ability to do so. If you don't, I will dismember your corpse into pieces and the corpses of everyone around you. As he spoke, a bloodthirsty look appeared in his eyes. Bei Qianjun and Qinggaya, who were at the side, also stared at Wuxia with a cold expression as they scanned the people behind him. You actually brought people here. How interesting. Everyone glanced at Aojian and the rest as they said coldly. Then I shall wait and see. Wuxia walked forward with a cold expression. You are really arrogant. However, I like to kill arrogant people. The vice leader of the Squalid Sharks stared coldly at their departing figures. Everyone looked at Wuxia and the rest with astonishment on their faces. He brought 10 people with him, but the strongest one is only at level 3 of the extraordinary realm. Although their strength is not bad, they are no match for the Squalid Sharks mercenary group, Bei Qianjun and Qinggaya. This young man has so many subordinates. Which village does he belong to? It's a pity that he has some problems with his brain. Everyone was discussing in a low voice. Wuxia ignored the discussions of the people around him. He looked at the Draconid and ordered all of you go buy a place to stay. Also buy a communication stone plate. Now that there were many people, they needed a place to stay. In addition, the communication stone plate was the most important thing. The communication stone plate was similar to the computers on Earth. It was similar to the mission stone plate and was made with an array formation. Through the communication stone plate, words could be transmitted on the stone plate. It could establish a separate communication channel. The Undercurrent Assassin organization received missions through the communication stone plate. Since Wuxia wanted to establish an assassin organization, he could use the same method. It's the Dragon King. The 2 Draconids nodded immediately. Wuxia gave them 500,000 low-grade spiritual stones. 500,000 low-grade spiritual stones was enough to buy a small house and a communication stone plate. 2 hours later, Wang Xian and the rest arrived at a small courtyard. The location was indeed remote and there were only 3 rooms. It was very cold. However, Wang Xian did not mind it. He walked into the courtyard and looked at the group of draconids and members of the Dragon Palace. One by one, strange demons appeared and stood there quietly. They were not powerful, but they were not weak either. Long E, the 10 of you should investigate the whereabouts of all the members of the Squalid Shark mercenary group. Wang Xian looked at them and ordered. It's the Dragon King. The 10 of them nodded immediately. Ao Yao, there must be someone around us monitoring us. Send someone to kill them. Be careful. Don't be discovered. That's right. As Wang Xian spoke, he took out pieces of red paper from his interspatial ring with a smile on his face. The paper was made on Earth. It didn't exist on the Transcendence continent. The red paper was cut into words with the words, "Congratulations" written on it. After killing them, take away their bodies and place this paper at the spot where they died. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly as he spoke angrily to Ao Yao. It's the Dragon King. Ao Yao nodded as his eyes sparkled. Today I will establish the strongest assassin organization in the Transcendence continent, the Dragon Spike. I hope that your strange demon clan will not disappoint me. Wang Xian looked at Ao Yao and said slowly. Don't worry, Dragon King. No one can escape our assassination. Ao Yao's eyes sparkled with a cold killing intent as he said with fighting spirit. Alright, let's get rid of the people around us first. I want the Dragon Spike to shake the entire Holy Sea town. Wang Xian's eyes shone with a fiery glow. Yes. Ao Yao nodded. Be careful. Wang Xian reminded her. Dragon King, don't worry. I have broken through to level 3 extraordinary and obtained 2 more supernatural powers. Ao Yao's face revealed a confident expression. Ao Yao, who was at the first level of extraordinariness, had comprehended the divine ability of nothingness and turned into nothingness for a short period of time. He was extremely terrifying during an assassination attempt. He who had obtained 2 more divine abilities was even more terrifying. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. Ao Yao bowed to him and beckoned to the 3 strange demons. In an instant, the 3 strange demons disappeared. As the strongest Dragon Spike in the Dragon Palace, it could assassinate assassins who were at the peak of the universe. Even though it was only a half-finished product, it still had a terrifying ability that was difficult to understand in the supernatural continent. The 3 strange demons disappeared and walked out of the door, scanning their surroundings. Ever since the Dragon Palace dominated Earth, all the resources on Earth were used by the Dragon Palace. The ones who benefited the most were the civil officials in the Dragon Palace. They had all the information on Earth. Among them, there were assassination techniques. After they had learned them, they had analyzed them and taught them to the strange demons. All the strange demons had mastered things that were far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. 3 strange demons stood openly at the door of the room. They scanned their surroundings. Here, in a remote part of the Holy Sea town, it could be considered a slum area. There were not many people around, and all of them were old people resting at the door of their homes. Among them, 2 middle-aged men were sitting on the left and right respectively. One of them was talking to an old man. One of them was sitting at the entrance of a house. They were looking at the room where Wang Xian and the rest were. Pa! This young man is not as simple as I thought. Yesterday, the 3 brothers disappeared without a sound. You have to be careful. A middle-aged man who was sitting alone at the door lit up a special cigarette from the extraordinary continent. He narrowed his eyes and muttered softly, his heart filled with vigilance. Pooh! However, just as the middle-aged man finished speaking, he felt a slight pain in his neck. Cough, cough. His eyes widened in disbelief. At this moment, he suddenly saw his other companion, the brother who was conversing with the old man, suddenly flash with a white light behind him. Then his body fell to the ground. How? Is it possible? Chapter 894. Congratulations on your death. Murder. Murder. On the narrow path, a middle-aged man was conversing with an old man. Oh. Suddenly, the middle-aged man fell to the ground. There was a long wound on his neck. The old man was slightly stunned, and then he shouted with a shocked face. He was dead. The middle-aged man who was conversing with him died immediately. There was a bloody mark on his neck. He was killed without any warning or even a trace. The people of the transcendent continent had all seen death before. Although the old man was shocked, he still hurriedly shouted. In the city, any death would be under the responsibility of the city guards. Every area was under the responsibility of the city guards. When the old man's voice rang out, a young man hurriedly ran out of the room. When he saw the middle-aged man lying in front of his house, he immediately shouted, "City guard, someone died here." What? Whoosh! The young man's voice traveled far, and there was a response immediately. In the sky, a middle-aged man quickly flew over. Flying in the city was the privilege of city guards. When the middle-aged man arrived, he immediately saw a middle-aged man's corpse lying on the ground. His face was cold. He immediately walked over to touch the corpse and looked at the wound on his neck. A fatal blow. The middle-aged city guard's expression did not change. He looked at the old man and the young man and asked, "Did you see the murderer?" No. Just now, when the middle-aged man was talking to him, he suddenly fell to the ground. I saw blood flowing out of his neck and was shocked. I quickly called you, sir. The old man quickly said. You didn't see him? The middle-aged city guard frowned and asked the old man. No. I haven't reached the transcendence realm. I didn't even see him. The old man quickly said. Humph, you dare to commit murder in broad daylight. You're really courting death. The middle-aged city guard snorted and a trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. We'll capture him today. As he spoke, he immediately took out a stone plate and began to contact his superior. At this moment, some residents in the surrounding rooms walked out and looked over curiously. Wuxia also walked out of the house and glanced at the corpses on the ground with a smile on his face. He dares to commit a murder in broad daylight and on the streets. He's really courting death. That's right. The entire city is covered by a formation. It can monitor all the places. Unless the murderer interferes with the formation when he makes his move, he will definitely be discovered by the formation. Some of the elders from the surrounding residents were discussing in a low voice. Wuxia's expression changed slightly. Formation? Surveillance? Is the usage of formations in the Transcendence continent so powerful? Wuxia's expression sank. However, when he thought of things like the communication stone plate and the mission stone plate, a hint of embarrassment flashed across his eyes. If that was really the case, it would be troublesome. Miss Jean. At this moment a shout was heard. Wuxia quickly turned his head and looked at the sky. A woman was dressed in a cautious city guard uniform. She looked valiant with a long sword in her hand. Her figure was extremely hot. It's the captain. When she heard the middle-aged city guard address her, the woman was slightly displeased. Yes, it's the captain. There's a murder case here. Please open the array formation and take a picture. The middle-aged man realized that he had said the wrong thing and quickly said. The woman walked to the side of the corpse and looked at the corpse on the ground. A sharp dagger, a fatal blow. Yes, Captain. The deceased was suddenly killed while chatting with this old man. The old man didn't see anyone. Oh. The middle-aged city guard said. When did he die? The woman took out a blue jade plate the size of 2 palms and asked. About 5 minutes ago. The old man immediately replied. Yes. The woman nodded and nodded on the jade plate. Yes. Soon, the woman frowned and a serious expression appeared on her face. Only a white shadow flashed by. The enemy should have used the array formation to block the surveillance of the city protection array. Not good. Not only one person died, another person died. There a white shadow. The woman revealed a shocked expression. and her eyes flickered as she looked to the left. Then she lowered her head and repeatedly looked at the picture on the jade plate. This is. She walked to the side of the corpse and picked up a red piece of paper from the ground. The texture of the paper was very special, and the shape of the paper was very strange. This thing, was it not there just now? The woman picked up the red piece of paper and asked the old man. The old man looked over, and a trace of thought appeared on his face. I don't think there was this red piece of paper just now. Could it be from this middle-aged man? The woman didn't answer. She walked to the other side, saw a red piece of paper on the ground and picked it up. There is only a white shadow on the city protection array. This red piece of paper was left by the murderer. It should be an assassin organization. It's not an undercurrent assassin organization. Could it be another organization? The woman frowned and put away the piece of paper in her hand. Confirm the identity of the deceased. Get someone to come and collect the body. The woman said, let's go. We can't find the murderer. The city guards took the body away and nodded. It was not uncommon for people to die in Holy See Town, and it was not uncommon for killers to kill people in the city. What was rare was to kill people in broad daylight, and it was on an exposed street. Every city had a formation that could monitor every corner of the city. But there was a problem. The room could not be seen, and it was blocked by something in the sky, so it could not be found. Therefore, when an assassin organization took action, they would usually do it at night in the room. This was the first time a woman had seen someone kill someone in broad daylight. However, they would only see the two red pieces of paper. Other than the two pieces of paper, there were no other clues. Hence, they would not continue to investigate further. After seeing the group of city guards leave, Wuxia returned to the room with a faint smile on his face. Ao Yao, is it because the formation can't see you guys? Wuxia said to the side with a smile. It's the Dragon King. After advancing to Light Thorn, we will obtain a supernatural ability for every level up. After advancing to Extraordinary Level 2, we will obtain Light Shadow Supernatural ability. Light Shadow Supernatural ability. It can ignore any formation other than the demonic attribute. Ao Yao replied. Wuxia nodded with a smile on his face. I'm relieved now. Next, it's time for you guys to perform. Wuxia smiled happily. One ignored the formation and the other possessed a terrifying and hidden race. When they wanted to assassinate someone, unless the other party was strong enough, they had to die. Next, when Ao Yao and the rest performed, they would soon shake the entire Shanghai town. This was also the first stronghold of the Dragon Assassin organization. Cultivate well. For a long period of time, we will need your strange demon clan. Wuxia said to Ao Yao. It's the Dragon King. Our strange demon clan will definitely become the strongest killer that will shake the supernatural continent in the future. Chapter 895. Daylight Assassination. Bastard, how dare you kill a member of the Dogfish Mercenary Group? At the city guard office, the vice leader of the Dogfish Mercenary Group and the other members of the Dogfish Mercenary Group had received the news. When they saw the corpse, they roared angrily. Oh. Vice leader of the Dogfish Mercenary Group, the deceased is not one person. The corpse of the other person has been taken away. I wonder if this person is a member of your Dogfish Mercenary Group. A city guard took out a portrait and asked him. Vice Commander Dogfish's brows twitched violently. He's one of our members. The murderer left behind a red piece of paper. We can't find any other information. It should be the work of the killer. If Vice Commander Dogfish has enough evidence to prove the murderer, we can arrest him. The city guard handed a red piece of paper to him and said. Vice Leader Dogfish took the paper with an embarrassed expression when he saw it, but he didn't recognize the words on it. In the entire Transcendence continent, other than Fengluan who had been to Earth, no one could recognize the word congratulations. Bring the corpse with us. Let's go. Vice Leader Dogfish said to his subordinates with an embarrassed expression. It's the Vice Leader. The members of the Squawk Shark Mercenary Group nodded. and their expressions were a little ugly. This was the fifth brother who went to spy on that young man, and now all of them were dead. Vice leader, the one who killed the Eastern Han must be that young man. Since he dared to come back, he might be prepared. Do we still need to spy on him? Wu Dazhuang walked out of the city guards and spoke to the vice regiment commander in a slightly frightened voice. At this moment he felt extremely regretful. Yesterday he had even mocked that young man. Could he have been assassinated just like his own dead squad members? Just thinking about it made him feel a little afraid. Who send our brothers to guard the 4 city gates. Once he leaves, report immediately. I'll go look for Bei Qianjun and Qing Gaya. The vice commander of the Horned Shark mercenary group said with a cold expression. Interesting. They must know who did it or who bribed the assassins. At this moment, a woman was standing by the window on the 2nd floor of the city guard's office. She smiled as she watched the members of the Horned Shark mercenary group leave. It's very normal for these mercenary groups to kill each other. It's also very normal for them to hire assassins. An old man beside him said respectfully. It's all right to cause a little trouble. It's not good if it really gets out of hand. Forget it. It's not my fault even if you testify against me. The woman smiled and shook her head. Oh, Dragon King. At this moment, a group of draconids walked over from the remote room that Wang Xian had bought. Dragon King, we have all the information regarding the residences of the members of the Dogfish mercenary group. Also, we have also obtained the information regarding Bei Qianjuan's family and Qinggu Cliff. The 10 draconids stood beside Wang Xian and reported to him. All right. Also, you have to think of a way to publicize the Dragon Assassin organization and let others know our contact details. Also, how to pay the remuneration. Wang Xian received the information with a smile and handed it to the side. Ao Yao, who was hiding at the side, received it directly. It's the Dragon King. Some assassin organizations will establish their own spies. There must be at least a dozen spies in each city. We can also develop our spies. Long Yi and the rest hesitated for a moment before saying, develop our spies. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before saying, you guys go and find some people whose lifespan is about to expire. Then we promise to let them live for a few hundred more years. The price is to become our spies. Live for a few hundred years. The group of draconids was stunned for a moment before they revealed a shocked expression. Lifespan. Many people would definitely agree to let them be our spy if they were given lifespan. That's right. All of you go and look for those smart people. Those whose abilities are below Transcendent Level 1 will become our spy. We will also promise to give them some rewards. The number of people is around 20. Wang Xian said. Those who were not at Transcendent Level did not have a long lifespan. However, if they possessed the Divine Dragon bloodline, their lifespan would increase by at least a few hundred years. With a few hundred years of lifespan and a fixed monthly reward, it would be easy for them to find spies. It's the Dragon King. Leave this to us. We will definitely find the most suitable person. A draconid responded immediately. All right, go. Wang Xian nodded his head. This afternoon, the 2 people who died here did not cause any commotion. The Dogfish mercenary group did not spread the news either. However, the failure of the Undercurrent assassin group and the death of 5 of their subordinates had already made the Dogfish mercenary group wary. Night arrived very quickly. It was in the base of the Dogfish mercenary group. Tell our brothers to be careful today. Don't sleep and be vigilant. Also, Ao Kuang, go to the Undercurrent assassin group and ask them why they haven't made a move yet. In a courtyard that spanned 5 to 6 acres, an old man sat in the center. He held a walking stick in his hand and frowned as he spoke to Ao Kuang. Yes, leader. I've already gone to Undercurrent's side. The other party said that the assassins they sent out have already been killed. The other party's strength is at least Transcendent 4th rank. They need to send out Transcendent 5th rank assassins. They need to add another 500,000 mid-grade spirit stones. Ao Kuang hurriedly replied. 500,000 mid-grade spirit stones? Why aren't they going to rob them? The old man's face was slightly embarrassed as he stared at Ao Kuang with dissatisfaction. Leader, I'll pay for this. He killed my daughter. No matter how great the price is, I'll destroy him. Ao Kuang saw the leader's expression and hurriedly said with an ugly expression, "And I'll leave it to you. Hurry up and kill that brat. I don't wish for any more brothers to die because of this." The old man slowly nodded. Yes. Oh. Night arrived quietly. Tonight, regardless of whether it was the Hornshark mercenary group, the Bei Qianjun family, or the Qinggaya family, none of them slept. They had no choice but to be careful since they were suspected of being assassinated by an assassin. As night fell, everyone was cultivating in the base. Within the Hornshark mercenary group, there were 4 middle-aged watchmen on high alert. It's almost dawn. There's no movement at all. Our base has a transcendent Tier 5 array defense. The moment the other party steps in, we'll be able to sense it. There's nothing wrong with being careful. There's nothing wrong with being on guard for the entire night. The 4 middle-aged men laughed as they chatted. As a powerful mercenary group, the reason they were able to reach this point was not just because of their strength. It was also because of their experience and patience. Even if there was a hint of danger, they would be 100% alert. They had provoked a young man and suspected that he had some strength, so they would treat him 100%. A lion uses its full strength when hunting a rabbit. When the sky was completely bright, the 4 middle-aged men became even more relaxed. There were even sounds coming from some rooms in the base. Seeing this situation, the 4 middle-aged men also walked into the rooms with smiles on their faces, ready to wash up. At this moment, almost invisible ripples appeared in the sky. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.